My mother tried to trick me into joining my sister for dinner after she, quote, tested me around her husband. This is actually crazy and there's going to be a lot of details, so please bear with me. My sister recently got married. It's been about 3 to 4 months. I didn't really see much of them after the wedding, honeymoon, and then back to work. But once a month our family all gets together and my parents host a huge feast. Since this took place a week ago, it was for the month of August. During this dinner, my brother-in-law was being extremely weird towards me. He was complimenting my body, ignoring my sister, and just straight up acting so strange. It was completely unexpected for several reasons. One being his wife was sitting right next to me. 2, he's only been married a few months. Also, he's just never spoken to or about me like that before. I felt really uncomfortable, and I'm sure it transpired to the rest of the room because WTF? Except it was weird because nobody was pointing anything out. I was extremely confused and just wanted to leave. I left early, but when I got home I just felt so icky. I don't even know how to describe it. I decided to message my sister and let her know his behaviour made me uncomfortable. I told her that it was also concerning he felt comfortable enough to say these things in front of my parents and brother. I explained that if she didn't feel comfortable being in the middle, I wouldn't mind explaining this to him myself. His behaviour was so unnerving that I FaceTimed my boyfriend who was away for work in the US. I told him it was weird and how suddenly my brother-in-law's behaviour towards me went from that of siblings to this horribly uncomfortable situation. He was ticked, rightfully so. My sister didn't respond to my texts until the next day. She asked me to meet up, so I did. I was expecting her to be upset and to have him apologise for what he said. Instead, she admits it was all a test, and I passed. I was confused, to say the least. What did she mean by a test? Passed? Like, what was going on? Turns out she had her husband do those things on purpose because she wanted to see how I would react if he had said those things to me and meant them. My reaction and choice to message her afterwards told her I could be trusted around him. I was offended, to say the least. Why would she think I couldn't be trusted? Well, let me tell you, there, in my opinion, not very valid reason for this lack of trust. My sister has been married before. She was 27 and the divorce was about 10 months into marriage. Her ex was a psycho, to say the least. He'd known me longer than he did my sister. I was the one who had introduced them. They got along well and eventually started dating. It looked like the healthiest and most romantic relationship to grace planet Earth, except when they got married. During their marriage, I was staying with them because it was a closer commute to work. They had extra bedrooms and I would pay rent and cook and clean for myself. My underwear, bras and panties would often go missing. It started off small. I just assumed it got mixed up in my sister's laundry and would turn up eventually, but it was happening more frequently, to the point I was buying underwear almost weekly. I kept pressuring my sister to admit she was stealing my underwear, and she was adamant it wasn't her. I decided to just ignore it and go about my day. Something I hadn't even considered an option was the real reason. My former brother-in-law was stealing my underwear. I didn't know, nor did I want to know what he was doing with it when I found out, but I was so disgusted and confused. Someone I thought was my friend was actually just a perv. He admitted he had never really loved my sister and was just using her to get to me. I was just so creeped out and I pressed charges against him for his sickening behaviour. I was able to get a restraining order and my sister divorced him almost instantly after finding out. She used something traumatic that happened to me and flipped it to make it seem like I'm the one who was untrustworthy. She claimed I must have strung him along for him to think like that, and this test was to just prove I wasn't doing it again. Safe to say, I was extremely hurt and angry by her response, so I told her to never speak or contact me again if that's what she really thought of me. My family found out and for the most part agree her behaviour is crazy, but my mother stood by her actions and said my sister was just trying to protect herself from being hurt again. I told her if she'd just been honest with me from the start, I wouldn't have been as bothered. There's a right way to approach things and a wrong way. This isn't just wrong, it's also crazy. Why is she so adamant it's my life goal to hurt her? I didn't know that her ex was going to turn out like that, so why am I being punished? She claimed I should have had some indication he liked me, but he really made it seem like he was head over heels for my sister. How am I supposed to know what's going on in someone else's mind? Anyway, the family dinner was earlier for this month as it was the most compatible date for everyone's schedules, yesterday. I told my parents to expect me not to show up if my sister and brother-in-law were going. It wasn't even because I refused to ever speak to her again. I just said that because the situation was so fresh, I told my mother I would apologize when I'd cooled down a little. It was just difficult to face them when they made me feel like a horrible person for a situation that was out of my control. My mother assured me my sister wouldn't attend, so I agreed to come. When I arrived, they were both there. It felt like an ambush, and it sort of was. My sister demanded I apologize for my reaction because it was my own fault it happened in the first place. I can't lie, I snapped. I told her she should remove my number and the title of being my sister if she really felt that way. I just need advice because therapy isn't scheduled for another 2 weeks, and I feel like I just dreamt a soap opera storyline. I feel kinda bad because I do understand my sister had her trust broken completely by her ex, but I feel like that distrust shouldn't be aimed at me, but the person who actually caused it, and I was the one who introduced her to the a-hole in the first place, so I feel guilty for that already. But I'm failing to see how her schemes to manipulate me into thinking she's being wronged by a husband once again is just far too extreme. 1, I want to apologize to her for one reason, ever introducing that man to her, and 2, I really need her to see that I wasn't trying anything when her ex was stealing my underwear. I was just as in the dark as her. How do I go about doing the above? Because I want to put this behind me and move on. I was just about healing from her former marriage, and now this one is also putting me in a very uncomfortable position, with my sister, my brother-in-law, and my own mother. Any advice on how to tackle apologizing, getting my sister's trust back, and showing her I truly just want the best for her? Wow, I can't help but feel like Opie's still holding way too much guilt over something that isn't her fault at all. But yeah, the decision to test her with this kind of method is extremely bizarre to me. Let's go to the comments. You have nothing to apologize for. Stop accepting the blame for something you had no part in other than being the victim. Your sister's ex was stalking you and she was caught in the crossfire. Then all this crap with her new husband, you have nothing to apologize for there either. Honestly, your sister and your mum are crazy. They're blaming you for the fact that your sister came into contact with a crazy person stalking you and fell for him. Then to absolve her of all the blame for not realize what was going on, it's become all your fault? Do not apologize. Do not make compromises with them. Your sister is a horrible, disrespectful POS, and I would cut all contact with her until she makes some kind of apology and contrition. You're being painted as the bad guy because something bad happened to you. Personally, I would remove myself from both their lives until they either see the light or they would not see me again. You don't need your sister's trust back. She literally played you with some weird fake-ass test to prove you were honest when you had never been dishonest in the first place. F those people. Get angry. You are being disrespected in this as much as you were disrespected by that horrible prick she married. The fact that the other two went along with this paints them as being as bad. I could not sit in a room with these 3 awful frickin' simulacrums of human beings for a moment without some major apologizing and ass-kissing, and even then I would most likely never be able to speak civilly to them again. This is insane. So your sister is going to blame you for the actions of others, and to suggest you tried to entice the first husband is truly offensive. The fact that your mother and brother-in-law went along with her charade is equally disgusting. I don't think any amount of convincing will make her see common sense, as she seems to have made up her mind about you, which makes me wonder about the state of her mental health. I think you're well within your rights to go no contact with these people for a while. If your sister is this insecure, I suspect she'll be on divorce number 2 relatively soon, because I feel it's only a matter of time before she'll be accusing the new husband of infidelity, and you'll get the last laugh. So sorry you're going through this, OP. What were your father and other family members doing during this charade? Why didn't anyone speak up or have your back? Totally creepy. You deserve to be treated better by everyone who was there. Opie replies, My dad wasn't pleased with what my brother-in-law had said during the August dinner. Then when he found out the plan, he forbade him from entering the family home again. My mother lied and said that he wasn't invited, but they showed up anyway. Apparently he was livid and threatened to call the police if they didn't leave. I left after I said what I said, so I don't know what happened. But my brother called me and told me everything that went down from when I left to the August dinner and this month's dinner. My brother and dad are amazing, and I'm going to update the post at some point to make sure everyone knows. This subreddit only allows you to make one update, so I want to make it worth your while. They've been so supportive and have tried to talk some sense into my mother. Their words, not mine. I've not spoken to my mother in a few days, which is so odd for me because I always call her at least once a day, and of course haven't spoken to my sister or her husband. Stop, you have absolutely nothing to apologize for. What they did to you was completely messed up. Who even comes up with these things? So this entire time she has this home-wrecking image of you? That's so hurtful. They owe you an apology. Opie replies, "This is what hurts the most. She really thinks it's my life goal to cause her misery. It's so exhausting. I miss my sister from before all this crap happened, the one who loved and trusted me above anything else." Well, at least it sounds like Dad and the brother have some common sense, so that's a relief. Anyway, let's go to an update. A lot has happened the last couple of days. I've tried to read all the comments and taken everyone's advice. This has been the outcome. I lost a sister and a mother in 2 days. It's heartbreaking more than anything. I had a meet up with everyone. My boyfriend came with me, so I had support during the conversation. Honestly, it was hard to look at any of them for the way they treated me. I'm so thankful to everyone opening my eyes to the crazy behavior exhibited in the first part of this story. In front of everyone, my mother admitted to knowing about the plans from the start. Sister confided in her and she agreed it was a good idea. She supported her son-in-law openly harassing her daughter. I'm in complete shock and it just hurts so much knowing she would condone this, considering she knew how much I was affected by the first husband. She knew I was having a difficult time in therapy. It took me a long time to trust people again after that, and I feel like once again my trust has been broken. I don't know how I'm ever going to trust anyone again. I'm really thankful my boyfriend was there to comfort me because it was so hard keeping my composure around them. My sister was not budging at all. She kept maintaining she was in the right. She said the only reason I wouldn't apologize is because deep down I knew what her ex was like. She said I just liked getting attention from him, knowing he was married to my sister. She also claimed I overreacted, and if it's acting, then it's not harassment. I told her she shouldn't expect any calls or texts, or just not to be contacted by me until I received the apology I deserve from both her and my brother-in-law. Speaking of, he was pretty silent throughout the whole thing, probably because my father threatened his life if he spoke bad about me. He did say that the only reason he did it was to placate my sister because she kept accusing him of ogling me, but still no apology from him. My mother, this one broke my heart the most. She told me I was over-exaggerating and that I should be happy to have passed my sister's test. She actually said the words, "We can all move on now." I was in complete awe, to be honest. How could she think that things would just go back to normal after this? I asked why she was supporting such delusional behavior. She said it was because she loved my sister and wanted her to be happy. I asked her if she loved me as much as my sister. She said yes. It seemed hesitant, but I don't want to read too much into that. I told her I wanted an apology for her schemes. She refused, so I gave her the same conditions I gave my sister and brother-in-law. Until I get an apology, I simply am not speaking to all three of them. As a result, I also probably have to go low contact with my brother and dad because they both live with my mother. I mean, I'll hang out with them outside and without the presence of my mother, but if she'll let them is the question. I know some of you have suggested spending time with my boyfriend's family on holidays and occasions. I think it was just one person, but oh well. I haven't met my boyfriend's family before because they live in the US, but after this situation, I've taken 2 weeks paid holiday from the end of this month, and he's taking me to meet them for the first time. I hope it goes well because they might be the only family I have now. My therapy session has been moved to tomorrow because I requested an emergency appointment. Wish me luck. Anyways, my biggest thanks goes to all you Redditors for helping me see the situation for what it was. For your advice and compassion, I'm really grateful. I don't think I would have been able to get through this on my own. It's likely I would have caved and apologized just for the pattern to repeat itself. Truly, thank you so much. Wishing you all the best, and I hope you know that your advice might have just saved me from my need to always please others. I'll look back on this moment any time I feel like putting someone else's feelings above my own comfort. Hope your hearts are filled with love and happiness. Damn, a pretty bittersweet ending there, but it seems like this is what OP wants, and I have faith that Maybe one day in the future they will apologize. Surely, right? All it takes is a little bit of self-reflection. I guess all we can do is keep our fingers crossed. Anyway, I'd love to hear your thoughts about that one. Let me know in the comments. Okay, on to another story. Okay, we're staying in the same subreddit. This one was written by a throwaway account, and it's titled, I am falling for my sister's ex. Would it be unreasonable to date him? So I'm in a pretty complicated situation. My sister Amy was dating Paul for 2.5 years, from when she was 22 to 24. I wasn't too close with him, but we got along. Well, unfortunately he cheated with her best friend, and this hurt my sister a lot. I was angry and hurt that he would do that to my sister. My sister became depressed, and still has trust issues to the point she's scared to date. Recently, I went on a cruise with my friend and her boyfriend, third wheeling. He saw me on the bar at the pool. He said hi, and I was very cold to him. I told him about himself, and to my surprise, he accepted accountability. He told me the guilt he feels to this day, and he's matured over the years. I decided to let bygones be bygones, and him and I started hanging out as we were both third wheeling. We did excursions, shopping, etc. I didn't realize how strong our chemistry was. One night we both had a drunken mishap and hooked up. After that, the cat was out of the bag, and we hooked up a couple of times. When I got back, him and I had been texting, and we were considering taking things more serious. I haven't talked to my sister about it, but I can tell he's changed and a better person. Plus, it's been a couple of years. Oh man, yeah, I mean, he might have matured and changed as a person, but regardless of how much of a better person he may or may not be, this is just never going to end well. Let's see what the comments think. This man is getting off on the fact that he not only slept with his ex's best friend, but also her sister, two of the main people who should never have betrayed her. You don't know for sure he's changed. Guys are amazing at showing you what you want to see. A man who's truly changed and is better would not have slept with the sister of the girl he betrayed and knows he caused so much heartache and pain. A good man would know it would cause your sister more pain than he already caused, and if he truly feels so much guilt, why would he add more pain? You've ruined your relationship with your sister for a man that most likely will cheat on you too. He matured so much that he slept with his ex's sister. Hey, here's what the latest research has told us about chemistry. By the average age of 26, you should have experienced some level of chemistry and compatibility with someone with whom that even if you couldn't make it work for them, you know what you really want out of a partner and can replicate that when you find it with someone similar. My longest relationship was with a guy that I realized kinda looked and acted like my favorite uncle. Freud would have a field day with me, right? This guy did that by moving slightly to the left and right of his ex-girlfriend and sleeping with her friend and sister. You need to do that, but with someone a little less related to him, please. There are hundreds of men with whom you share enough chemistry and compatibility with that with effort and time can be husband material for you. You have one sister. Or more, I don't know your life. Obviously, you see the point I'm making though, right? Are you really willing to throw away your sister for the rest of your life for one man who could maybe make you happy? Let me put it another way. You would have been attracted to him even if he was your brother-in-law right now. Do you really think the technicality of being single means that every reason to not date him suddenly becomes less important? This is a disaster just waiting to happen. Opie replies, I don't think so. I get what he did was bad, but I feel like as a society, we don't give people enough grace to change. User replies, you can't give people the grace to change without sleeping with them. He broke his ex-girlfriend's heart and gave her trauma by cheating on her with her best friend of all people, then comes back years later and sleeps with her sister of all people. If he truly changed and bettered himself as a person, he wouldn't be hooking up with his ex's sister. Cheaters are also chronic liars and players, and you fell right into his hands. And let's not forget the massive betrayal to your sister. Opie replies, was he just never supposed to date again? It wasn't like we intended for this to happen. We just had such a strong connection. Would it be better just to pretend we don't have a connection? Yeah, probably. I think Opie's missing the point. There's plenty of other people that this guy could go for, and Opie herself. I think what the comments are saying that it's very disrespectful to entertain this connection when there's a million others out there that could possibly be better. And not just better, but a million times more appropriate. Another comment says, My sister is my world. If she did this to me, I would cut her out of my life completely. Do you have no respect for her? The pain she went through? You want to throw that all away for some guy that is a renowned cheater? Wow. Opie replies, I wouldn't even consider this if she still had feelings for him, but she doesn't anymore. Okay, let's see what Opie does. I decided to give him a chance. Well, he's still a disgusting cheater. A few weeks ago, I decided to tell my sister what happened and what we were planning. She didn't take it well at all and has blocked me and said I'm dead to her. That broke my heart, but I was optimistic as she continued to heal from the breakup and find someone new that she would get over it, perhaps even learn to be happy for me. When I was over his place last night, I noticed a bonnet. It was not mine and I don't wear bonnets usually. That raised my suspicion. I didn't say anything and waited for him to fall asleep. I used Face ID to unlock it when he was sleeping. I went through his phone and it was bad. I woke him up and told him he's a disgusting person. I've never felt so alone. I haven't even told my sister yet, but I want her to know that I fell for his lies and that I'm sorry. Oh man, surprise, surprise. There you go. It seems like some people just never take a hint or just never learn about, actions of people previously. I'm not saying people can't change because they definitely can, but, most of the time, particularly the stories I read on here, it's never that optimistic. Am I the a-hole for staging an intervention and calling my daughter delusional over a name? I, 50s male, have a daughter, 26. She is currently a TikTok influencer and pregnant with a boy. She is obsessed with this influencing thing, everything being about the numbers. Her husband has been evicted to the attic because he, quote, ruins her aesthetic, that is for the videos. He isn't allowed to bring his items or clothes outside of it, and whenever he as much as forgets a cup on the table, she will scream. My wife and I tried to guide her into therapy and have been paying for appointments, but we do not know if she's actually been going. And now she is pregnant, which means it isn't just her and my son-in-law's problem, it's also a problem for my grandson. She wants no toys in the house for similar reasons, and has banned us from buying any. She doesn't want colourful baby clothes because the baby will stand out on her videos too much. And then there is the name. And you got to look at the spelling for this one. Robin Marvie Linter. While I appreciate that the two middle names are comprised of the names of both sets of grandparents, Marvin and Lee, Lynn and Peter, the amalgams are awful, and Rawbhyne is her spelling of Robin, because she, quote, doesn't want her son to be a sidekick, whatever that means. She doesn't care that he'll get bullied, that his name will be mispronounced, misspelled, and a nightmare on any official capacity, that he'll grow to be an adult with the name, instead of staying as a baby. It was the last straw. So I staged an intervention after regular talking didn't work. I contacted everyone we both know, and even posted on Reddit to try to convince her that it's a frickin' horrible idea, and that she needs to think of more than what will look nice for her TikToks or get her more views. She will have a child, and that child's needs and well-being should be a priority. Naming him a ridiculous word salad and depriving him of toys and joy is not an environment suitable for a child. She called me an a-hole, and I called her delusional in return. I really don't think I'm the a-hole here, but my wife's family seem to think I overreacted since it's just a name. But if she's willing to do all of this just for stupid views on an app, what else is she going to do to this child for the sake of her influencing? Am I the a-hole? Edit. Her and her husband have separated twice in the past, but always end up together again. They keep breaking up and rekindling over and over again. They had an impromptu marriage on Valentine's Day to heal their relationship, as they now have a child on the way. The TikTok thing has been a frequent source of pain for them. Yeah, hot take, but people like this should not procreate. Let's look at the comments. Not the a-hole. This lady is being borderline abusive to her husband. How abusive is she going to be to her child? Her husband probably can't afford a divorce anyway. Who the hell can afford two households these days? So I think staging the intervention is the right thing to do. Now, nothing she is doing is illegal, but it definitely is wrong. All over stupid TikTok? She needs to wake up and join the real world before she gets even worse. Opie replies, He can afford a divorce, but they've been together since secondary school and get along well with our family. One of my sons was his best man, and I think he might be afraid we'll hate him for divorcing her. I'll talk to him about it when he gets out of work. Call the child Robbie. If questioned, then tell her you can't remember the entire name and/or spelling. Poor kid. Also, the sister-in-law joking about divorce already has one foot out the door. He won't stick around more than a couple of years. Require receipts from her doctor, or simply pay the doctor's office directly. Good luck to you, OP. Not the a-hole. This behaviour needs to be halted yesterday. What'll happen when the child makes a mess? What'll happen when they cry for toys and attention? Will she lock the child in a grey aesthetic soundproof room so they don't mess up her videos? What'll happen when her traumatised child doesn't perform for the camera how she wants? This sounds like the origin story for a severely developmentally stunted kid locked in a room, deprived of parental affection. Not the a-hole, but her husband needs to consult a lawyer and separate now. This isn't about their marriage, this is about protecting that child. He needs to get legal custody and a court order banning her from using the child in videos. There are a million stories coming out from kids who are now old enough to discuss the hell their childhood was due to their influencer parents exploiting them. Many earned their parents lots of money and have seen $0. They do not have the protections child actors have. You may have to back up your sister-in-law to make it legally binding. Your daughter doesn't have the opportunity to exploit this baby. Yeah, sad reality from influencer parents. Let's go to an update. This is a bit anticlimactic. We had a family meeting after my daughter's husband got out of work and presented her the Reddit threads, as well as some stories that people shared in the comments. She was reading the comments for about an hour while they kept pouring in, and it overwhelmed her. Didn't help that I kept responding to comments during this time, which was stupid and inconsiderate of me. I did apologize to her, but she doesn't have it in her to forgive me at this moment. At first she was very quiet, before admitting that she needed help. She said that she was struggling with feeling fulfilled after her work was made remote back in the original lockdown, and needed more things to do that separated work from home. It's where the influencing came in. The numbers going up gave her the same reward that work used to, and she wanted to replicate it with a mummy blog as her other one stagnated. Her husband suggests that she pick up art again and offered to buy her art supplies. She agreed. Turns out that a lot of you were right, and that the names were inspired by the Twilight. She wanted to honour the grandparents, which was nice, but couldn't think of any names that fit. She also wanted a bird name as the first name, but didn't want a plain Robin. One of my sons suggested the name Adler, as well as Arnie, Arvid, and Ari from sister-in-law's culture, and she agreed to one of them. I'm not going to reveal the new middle names for freshly discovered privacy reasons, but some of the comments in the tragedy side gave her good ideas. My daughter seems so defeated now, but says it's because she didn't realize how much the numbers on her social media were taking her over. She agreed to delete the mummy blog at her husband's request, and said she will limit her personal account just to makeup and fashion content she used to do. Time will see how this goes. My sister-in-law is still apprehensive, as he's had to have been on eggshells in their home and isn't happy about the TikTok at all with her past behaviour. He says he wants this to work, which is why he married her despite everything, but that if she doesn't actually go to therapy my wife and I paid for, he's going to look at options for leaving. He wants to say to one of the comments that he isn't a wet blanket, but was just trying to keep his wife healthy for the sake of their unborn child. Some of the comments regarding how creeps use mummy blogs as material for their unsavoury desires also was a wake-up call for all of us, and none of us will post photos or information relating to our family children online. Wife is taking her shopping for baby clothes sometime next week, and she managed to convince her that toys are not clutter, but necessary for kids. She reminded my daughter of her own favourite toys, and how upset she was when one of them disappeared. So while I was an a-hole, it helped my daughter a little bit. Reddit helped a lot more, and I would like to thank you for indulging me in this. Opie answers a couple final comments. Was your son-in-law finally able to move out of the attic? He should be able to enjoy his own home like you said. Your daughter was incredibly abusive to him. Yes, forcing him to live in the attic and not enjoy his own home, or should we scream at him, is abuse. She Cinderella'd him. Has she apologized to him for what she did? Is she remorseful? Opie replies, They were arguing about where his stuff should be while I was typing this update. He collects and tinkers with old electronics, and she said she doesn't want them in the main parts of the house because they're ugly and take up a lot of space. He wasn't directly evicted, but it's where he spent most of his time, because it's where his belongings were. My wife, the beautiful angel that she is, recommended that they turn the guest room into his man cave, or convert the garage as it isn't in use due to the convenience. They went back home, so I'm not sure if they've come to a conclusion now. I'm glad to hear she's doing better. I think it's also important for her to know that bright colours and playtime with toys is very important for child development. Like everyone well versed in child development and psychology will tell you this. I hope your wife informed her about this when talking about toys. And Opie says, my wife is a primary school teacher, which is why she was able to get through to our daughter regarding child development. Both of us reiterated how important toys are and that it's a mandatory part of parenting. That it is. Anyway guys, that's the end of that story. I'd love to hear your thoughts about that one in the comments. Let me know. Either way, let's move on to another one. Okay, sticking with Am I the A-hole? This one was written by user Financial Olive and it's titled, Am I the a-hole for telling my sister that her husband is having an affair? I, 17 female, have a sister, 25, married to James, 38 male. This happened about a week ago. I was with my friend and we were having lunch in a restaurant. There we saw James with another woman. Normally I thought this was his friend, but she was being very clingy. It looked like they were on a date. The woman was whispering something in his ears. I felt disgusted. I wanted to confront him there, but my friend said to lay low and start recording so that we can have proof. We recorded everything. After leaving the restaurant, I went straight to my sister's place. I sat her down and showed her the video. Instead of crying, she got angry and started accusing me of ruining her marriage. She screamed profanities at me and said that I'm jealous of her. It's not true. I always want what's best for her. I tried to explain my side and she kicked me out. I noticed that she blocked me everywhere. Yesterday, my mum came into my room and asked what did I do. My sister was ticked off and told mum that I was trying to break up her marriage. I told mum everything. She was disappointed and said she'll talk to her. I haven't heard from her or James. My mum told me not to contact her now, and my dad doesn't know anything. I just don't know what I did wrong. I was only looking out for her. I was trying to be a good sister to her. Yeah, honestly, sounds like she's in denial and is displacing her anger or, sadness somewhere else. Let's go to the comments. People tend to not be rational about who they take their anger out on. Doesn't mean you did anything wrong. There's even a phrase for this, shooting the messenger. You did absolutely nothing wrong. You did exactly what you should have done. Sometimes people just react reflexively when they're in pain and blame their easiest/nearest person. This is obviously going to be incredibly painful for her. She's in denial and flailing around for anyone else to blame so she doesn't have to face the agony of her marriage collapsing. Obviously, her claims about you and your motivations are ridiculous. Just give her some space. Don't hold what she said against her. Be ready to offer your support again when she needs you and or comes to her senses. Hopefully she jettisons the a-hole. She's displacing anger. She's furious at him but doesn't want to confront him. Perhaps she knows about his indiscretions and can't stop him, but you definitely did the right thing. I once told a friend the minute I found out her husband was cheating on her, literally while she was having brain surgery, she was shocked but thanked me, and both of us dumped the friends who admitted they knew but didn't tell her. Not the a-hole. Maybe they're swingers and she's shy, or maybe she thinks she got the man out of her league and letting him disrespect her is the only way to keep him. I'm hoping they're swingers, lol. OP says, if anything, James got a girl who is out of his league. My sister is very pretty and educated. He's been divorced before and engaged 2 times before he met my sister. Then it sounds like she's maybe overwhelmed with internal fighting, and even if she's the catch, things can still be shaky, and she lashed out at you because things are shaky. It's very confusing why she would get mad at you. Is there any additional info we're missing? Do you and your sister normally get along? Lashing out at you was wrong. You were simply trying to inform her of something that presumably any person would want to know. Opie says, I have a theory. She didn't tell Dad. Dad never approved of her relationship with James due to age gap. That could be the reason. Okay, now for an update. If you remember, I posted here yesterday. Just a short update. Thank you for all the comments and support. And those of you who suggested that I should have sent her the video anonymously, I don't think so. I mean, she is my sister. I can expect her to believe me. Anyways, yesterday my sister came to our house with her bags. She had left James. I was in my room but was eavesdropping. My mother was consoling her while she cried. As far as I know, she will be divorcing James. Then she came into my room and apologized. She said that she already had suspicions when James was hiding his phone a lot, but my proof has made her suspicions come true. She reacted badly. She wanted it to be false, because she fought the entire world to be with him. Really? That guy, sis? She even fought Dad, and Dad was right about him. Dad warned her that he is manipulative, and she is way too young to be married to him. She was 20. They were thinking about having children. I'm glad she left him. We talked for hours. This was the first time in 5 years we talked and spent time like this. I always felt that she distanced herself from us. And moreover, I'm glad Dad didn't slap the "I told you so" on her face. He was extremely supportive of her decision to leave and never spoke about their fights they had before she got married. I'm really happy. I got my sister back. She and I had a sleepover, talked crap about James, and cried a lot. I'm not mad at her anymore. I know what she did was wrong, but I get where she was coming from. Wow, okay guys, and that's the end of that story. Yeah, so it looked like me in the comments were pretty much spot on in the fact that she was just displacing her anger and didn't want to believe the truth. We've all been there in different situations at some point in our lives, haven't we? Anyway, give me your thoughts and we'll jump to another one. Okay, same subreddit. This one was written by user House is on Fire, and it's titled, "Am I the a-hole for getting uninvited from a wedding because I said it was doomed to fail? I ran my mouth a bit when I had too much to drink at a dinner with my wife and our friends. One of them is a bridesmaid in a wedding that we were all supposed to attend. She told the bride, and now I'm uninvited. Not my wife, just me specifically. The bride is my wife's friend, so I was always just a plus one. She's not been a fan of mine for a while for a few weird reasons, but the gist I've been told is she thinks I'm a bad influence or something because I offered her fiancé cocaine once or twice. The reason I don't think I'm completely the a-hole is because the marriage is legitimately doomed to fail. The groom once told the bride that he doesn't like bigger women, and the bride is definitely in that category. Also, her family has paid for 100% of the very expensive wedding, and his family have contributed 0%. Edit. So I did apologize to my wife, which went kind of predictably badly, but she did tell me another thing about the bride, which might better illustrate my point about what she's like. So one of the bridesmaids, not the same one, looked at the hairdresser person's page on Instagram and thinks it's crap and doesn't want to use that person, even though apparently the bill is like $10,000 just for all that crap alone, and told the bride that she would get it done elsewhere and then meet them. Bride then threatened to uninvite that bridesmaid from the wedding. So I ain't that unique in this scenario, lol. It's apparently a malleable list. Yeah, Opie might be right in his suspicions, but, you know, it's her wedding, and she can uninvite whoever she wants. And yeah, you probably shouldn't be saying that about a wedding that's coming up. Okay, let's go to the comments. Lol, of course you're the a-hole. You just prefer to be an a-hole without the social consequences. In this case, you get to skip a wedding. Lucky break. Apologize to your wife for hurting her friend, and drop it. Wait, so you offered the groom cocaine a few times, got drunk and ran your mouth about the couple, but don't think you're the a-hole? Oh honey, you're the a-hole. You're a huge, gaping a-hole. If your drunken behaviour is creating problems for you and your wife in real life, you have an alcohol problem. Get some help, OP. You're the a-hole. You're the a-hole. You're clearly one of those people that enjoys causing drama and gossiping. You can see it on this very post. Why do you care who is paying for their wedding? Why even say that it's doomed to fail at a dinner with her friends? You're an adult. Stop acting like a middle schooler. Yeah, I reckon we get the gist of those comments. Okay, on to an update. I'm probably going to immediately regret running my mouth again by posting this, but to be honest, I really don't like how I came off here, because I don't think of myself as a bad person, but I've kind of just had a realization that I'm effing everything up, so this is me trying to own it via stream of consciousness, maybe just for myself if no one ever reads this. This isn't an excuse, just an explanation, but having your wife's friends openly loathe you is pretty intense, and I know I shouldn't retaliate, but it gets hard sometimes to constantly hear crap from apparently perfect people with perfect lives. The wedding was on Saturday, and when my wife got home, she came in looking for a fight and escalated since I wasn't fully on the level. Showed me a pic of the groom crying when the bride walked down the aisle and passive-aggressively mentioned how I didn't during our wedding. Said it's hilarious that I would feel able to comment on her friend's weight before reacquainting myself with the frickin' Peloton, etc, etc. I can't remember them all, but a series of below-the-belt crap. So now I've got to stay in a hotel for a few nights until she, quote, decides that she's ready to have a real conversation, which I gather is possibly dire. So yeah, I effed up worse than I thought, maybe, and I don't really know how I'm going to fix it. So this is me apologising for being an a-hole, is the headline. One comment says, did you ever apologise to either the bride or your wife? Or are you just a good person who is misunderstood and everyone else is being mean / overreacting / they actually deserved it because they suck? OP says, yeah, I did, but they're both obviously going to want more than me just saying sorry, which I get. Yeah, sounds like OP's got some problems he needs to sort out here, and I'm not just talking about the alcohol. Also, I can't help but feel like that quote-unquote apology that he did at the end there wasn't much of an apology at all. Oh well, I guess OP's learning that actions have consequences. My dog ate all of my girlfriend's shoes. My girlfriend just moved in with me a couple weeks ago. My dog is pretty well trained, but shoes are his weakness. I've done everything to get him to stop chewing shoes, but ultimately I decided to just not leave shoes laying around anymore and always put them away. This worked well when I lived on my own, but the closet at the front isn't big enough for all of my girlfriend's shoes, so they've been sitting in bins since she moved. She's on vacation with her friends right now, and I made her a nice walk-in closet and makeup room off our bedroom as a surprise, since there wasn't enough closet room in our house for both of our stuff. I brought all of our shoes up yesterday to try and figure out the shelving space, and forgot to put the lids back on the bins before I left for work. I got home this morning to find every single shoe she owns completely destroyed by my dog. Only a couple shoes look like they could be fixable, but there isn't even one pair that remains wearable. My dog was quite proud of himself. My girlfriend is the type of person who is very methodical with her clothing and shoes. Everything she owns has been carefully selected, brands have been researched thoroughly, and she takes immaculate care of her things. That is to say, they're all pretty expensive, $100 to $500 per pair, and in perfect condition. There's over 30 pairs of shoes. I've estimated the cost of replacing the ones I can find new online at $6,000, and that doesn't include some of the brands that I don't recognize and can't find online, or some that are no longer being sold. I'm not really sure where to go from here. I was able to find around 20 pairs of shoes online in the exact style that she had, and I'm wondering if I should order those now and hope they get here before she gets home. Obviously there's no hiding this, but I'm wondering if it would make her feel a bit better to at least have some shoes to choose from. I'm pretty sure that if I told her to go spend the amount in damages on new shoes, she wouldn't, because we're saving up to buy a new house, and she'd rather put the money towards that. But I know she'd be sad about not having all the choices that she had before. Any advice? Oh geez, that's unfortunate. But yeah, I think Opie's on the right track here. Maybe buy the shoes that she wears the most often or are her favourites, that way she has some to choose from when she gets back, and then maybe in the future you can start paying her back, pair by pair. Let's see what the comments think. Honestly, I would tell her about it before you do anything. Trying to replace the shoes before she gets home seems sneaky, even if you do tell her what happens. And I've got an equal number of shoes I like which are in good condition, but in my case, good condition often means worn twice. She might want to get entirely new styles, so just to make it very clear to her that you intend to replace them one way or the other, that you've done your research and estimated the cost, and you're willing to fast-track the purchase of some immediate replacements. I would hold off on ordering anything, wait until she gets back and can participate. My reasoning being that say you order all those shoes, there may be a pair or two in there she secretly hates and never wears. Might as well give them monetary value so she can replace those shoes with something she likes. I have a ton of shoes, and if something destroyed them all, I guarantee there's a pair or two I could care less about. OP, if you have renter's insurance, don't forget about it. Now is the time to call them up and file a claim. It's very possible that even if you do have renter's insurance, that it doesn't cover pet damage, but this kind of event is exactly what you have insurance for, so if you've been paying for that coverage, use it. You should let your girlfriend know that whether insurance pays or not, you're still going to make up for this financially however you can. Personally, I think that you shouldn't order any replacements. You should offer to do so to whatever extent she wants and give her money for the rest. Probably she took enough shoes to get by with on a daily basis with her on vacation, but if there's one pair you know she wears all the time at home, you could replace just that one. Also, when you tell her about this, please don't say anything like, "My dog is pretty well trained." Your girlfriend deserves a big, sincere apology, along with you fixing the damages, and you need to own all the things you did wrong here, both the lack of care you took and the lack of properly training your dog. What you actually need to do is not about the shoes. What you need to do is find a way to train your dog not to destroy her shoes, or else to show her that you found a way to keep the dog away from the shoes. The shoes can be replaced, and obviously doing so or offering to do so is a very nice gesture, but I think the important thing here is showing that you want to solve the problem. Like you said, you're saving for a house, so you cannot afford to constantly replace shoes, rather than coming up with a more permanent solution. Opie replies, "Yeah, I know. I, for some reason, can't train him out of it. I can only discipline him if I catch him chewing shoes, and he'll only do it when I'm not home. So the solution was to keep them locked away. That's one of the reasons I built the closet, but since the door wasn't installed yet and the bins were open, he had full access. But once it's finished, it shouldn't be a problem as long as we remember to close the door." Okay, on to an update. I'm getting a surprising number of PMs asking for an update, so here it is. The general consensus from my first post was that I should buy a few key pairs before she gets home, so I decided to go with that. It was hard because where we live we are transitioning from winter to summer, so I had to buy winter boots, rain boots, sandals, runners, and various types of work shoes. Only about half of them arrived before she got home on Friday. I wish I could have bought them in person so I could have been certain they would be here, but I wasn't able to since winter stuff is out of season and lots of the brands she likes are only available online. Friday, I picked her and her friends up from the airport. When we got a second of alone time, I told her about the shoe situation. She was ticked initially. She wasn't mad at me or our dog, but more mad that it happened. I decided not to tell her about the awesome closet that I built her while she was gone, and just hoped that the surprise would soften the blow. On the car ride back, she told her friends what happened, and they really helped turn it into a positive event that she could laugh about. She would only get sad when she remembered shoes that she'd spent a long time breaking in. Apparently her Birkenstocks took 2 full summers before they reached max comfiness, so that was what she was the most sad about. I feel frickin' awful about that. I actually took those ones to a cobbler because I knew she'd be most upset about them, but they couldn't be salvaged. They were too far gone. When we got home, she wanted to see the carnage. I wasn't sure it was a good idea because I was kind of expecting her to cry, but she just thought it was funny. She had me make a small pine casket for the shoes while her and her friends got absolutely blasted, and we buried them in the backyard that night. She did cry briefly at the funeral, but she was a trooper nonetheless. Her friends decided it was only fair for me to purchase every pair of shoes she wants for the rest of our lives, and I drunkenly agreed, a decision that I'm sure will cost me a small fortune, but I stand by it all the same. Over the past few days, she has ordered all of the shoes she needed to replace the ones she lost. She only reordered around 10 pairs that she previously owned, so it was a good thing I didn't go ahead and reorder them all. She already had a Pinterest of every pair she wanted, and it deemed to be worthy of her collection, which made it a fairly quick process. All in all, it cost around twice what I had anticipated, but she didn't break up with me, so I'll call it a win. I'm just glad I was able to afford it. I couldn't imagine how awful it would be to be in this position without being able to pony up. It's going to set me back a few months on buying an engagement ring, but I'm sure that won't be an issue. For everyone concerned about the dog, she isn't worried about getting him trained more because he behaves perfectly otherwise. She said, if anything, I need to be trained not to be a careless idiot. Joking aside, it was a fluke and we're usually very good at keeping the shoes put away. I made the doors to her closet and our front closet self-closing, so we don't ever need to worry about leaving them open. Like my girlfriend, the poor guy can't resist shoes, so we don't really blame him for what happened. In fact, we're quite proud of what he managed to accomplish in the 12 hours I was away. And a couple more comments. So you had a funeral. I hope someone gave a nice shoelogy. Well, they say time heals all wounds. Their souls are in a better place. God, a shoe funeral. Yeah, that's a first for me. Good to see that the girlfriend could make light of the situation and wasn't too upset about it. To be honest, because I read this on Reddit, I was fully expecting her to blow up and go full scorched earth, but glad she didn't. Okay, what do you guys think about this one? Let me know. Okay, let's move on to another story. Okay, well, on the Am I the A-hole subreddit, this one was written by a throwaway account, and it's titled, I blocked my now ex-girlfriend after finding out she was engaged and didn't tell me, but she is depressed right now. Just want to get this off my chest because this has been a whirlwind. My now ex-girlfriend, 28, recently distanced herself from me, male 26, due to mental health issues. Of course, I was very concerned about this, and I tried to stay supportive without pressuring her during a tough time in her life. We slowly stopped talking. The relationship was newer, so I didn't know her friends very well and decided to find their social media to see if I can stay in contact with them for updates on her well-being. My ex-girlfriend had told me during our 6 months that she doesn't use social media. When I found her friends online, I also found out that my ex does have social media and uses it regularly. To my surprise, I find out she has been engaged to someone since 2019. When checking public records, her fiancé's primary address was listed the same as hers. I was shocked and asked her about these things despite her mental state. She denied the relationship and said they broke it off in 2020, to which I presented her a photo of them in 2022. She told me she always lived alone and bought her place out of interest for seeing new areas, not living with a fiancé. She said I was being crazy and said it's none of my business. She told me to leave her alone and I said gladly, to which she wildly kept on talking. I think she panicked and realized she was losing part of her support system. Part of me is shocked, happy and relieved to have found the truth and gotten the F out of there before I got myself into a mess with this person. But part of me feels terrible for leaving her when she's struggling and most likely adding to it. I guess I'll never know what the full truth is or if she was even struggling. Am I a terrible person for doing this? I mean, whether they broke it off or not, it's still a very disingenuous thing to do, to tell your partner that you don't have social media and that you weren't engaged previously. I mean, I don't think you can blame that on mental health, can you? Let's go to some comments. Sounds like she's the one throwing herself in over her head and then expecting others to pull her out. She lied, she got caught, and she isn't willing to face the consequences, not the a-hole. Yes, I'm sure hiding a boyfriend from your fiancé is a struggle. She gaslit and lied to you. That's messed up, dude. Isolate and work on yourself and your happiness. She dug her own hole by lying. Did you try and reach out to the fiancé? Not the a-hole. She was lying to you. She was using you. All that mental health issue was some BS. She doesn't deserve your sympathy. Don't feel bad, my brother. Just keep moving forward and just leave all this in the past. Now Opie answers some questions. On why Opie feels bad. I feel crappy because I did genuinely want to help her during this time and be there for her, so that part kind of still stings and makes me feel guilty. I'm working on it. Someone says, yeah, that's her fiancé's job. Opie says, lol, valid. I'm happy to let him deal with that mess of a person. Another commenter says, she was lying to you and using you for sympathy, maybe even lying about mental health. Opie replies, thank you. It didn't help that during our conversation she said I was concerned over nothing and that it didn't involve me. She even called me crazy for looking her up when I actually just stumbled upon her social media out of care and trying to support. On the mental health aspect. Yeah, once I've figured out all of the lies, my guess is her mental health issues are much more than just being depressed. I don't know much about depression, but from what I've heard, I don't think they typically go such great lengths to lie and manipulate others. On mental health not being an excuse. Thank you. I also think there is no excuse to hide something like that from your partner. We even talked about moving in together in the future and potentially getting married. She brought this up, not me. I dodged a ticking time bomb. And agreed, depression is not an excuse to do this to someone. Even if my partner was depressed, I would expect that in a normal relationship, they would be willing to accept support from their partner. The fact that she even brought up marriage is insane. How would she have explained that? Great question. My bet is she would get mad and still say none of my business, and then try to punish me for finding out by being distant and mad at me or something along those lines. How she hid it. I'd been to her house. Every now and then she would cancel our plans last minute and say something else came up, or some bullcrap excuse as for why I couldn't go to her place but she could come to mine instead. She denied any existence of her socials while we had been dating for 6 months, lol. Not sharing is a bit different. She never mentioned anything about being engaged when we talked about our past relationships. We were still talking when I looked up her friends, but not nearly as much because she was depressed and said she needed space. I wanted to contact her friends for updates on her well-being or in case of emergencies. On red flags before this, my friends asked many questions and were very suspicious of some things early on, but I dismissed them at that time. Should have listened to my friends, shaking my head. Yeah, absolutely should have listened to him. There's red flags galore here. Let's go to an update. I contacted her fiancé, who filled me in on a lot of details. We decided to get on a phone call to sort things out. It turns out they were together while I was talking with her. They were even still together while I was visiting her place, and she would hide all of his belongings, i.e. clothes, PC, pictures of them on the wall. She would only let me come over when he was out of town for work or visiting his family. He said he never knew about me, and she hid it very well. He also explained the following. They did end up breaking off the engagement, but he broke it off because he caught her cheating with not one, but two other guys during their 5-year relationship, one of which happened right before she started talking to me. She would send them messages, talk dirty, sext, etc. She did the same thing with me. I also found out that the way I met her and the things she said to me are the exact same things she told her fiancé before they moved in together and got engaged. This girl told me that she wanted to get married and move in with me just the same way. In addition to this, apparently the fiancé met her while she had lived in another state and was in a relationship with someone in the army. She left her army boyfriend, who she met online, just like her fiancé and me, to be with this guy and move in with him. The fiancé said he is not mad at me for any of this and was very chill and understanding. We both agreed that she is crazy AF. So it turns out she does this consistently and has made a pattern of it, almost as if she knows what she's going to do before it even happens. She knows all of the right things to say to get the guy emotionally attached to her, and then she does whatever she wants once she knows she has them wrapped around her finger. I guess once she gets bored with them or starts feeling guilty, she cuts it off and starts all over again with a new person and continues building on the lies of her past. Thank God I dodged this ticking time bomb, holy. I thought crap like this only happened in movies. This is seriously one messed up individual. I do not feel bad about blocking her at all anymore. And one final update. She spoke with her fiancé after I contacted him and she told him I lied about everything. When she got distant in our relationship together and said we needed a break, she went back to him begging to take her back, and he said no, lol. She probably would have come crawling back to me had I stuck around to support her in her hard times. Okay, folks, and that's the end of that one. God, what an absolute horror story of a woman, like the commitment and manipulation that takes. God, it's kind of impressive. But yeah, those poor guys, let's hope they learn a lesson out of this too. What do you guys think? Give me your thoughts in the comments. Okay, we'll jump to our next story. Okay, same subreddit. This one was written by user In My Feelings But I Don't Know, and it's titled, Am I the a-hole for refusing to pay friend who paid for my wedding dress? Hey Reddit, I was looking to buy this dress from a branch in New York City. Because I'm not based there, the only option was to go through a retailer where I'm based at, and that would cost $2.4K excluding alterations. I found a listing from Still White and it was the exact dress I wanted in my size and brand new. The previous owner had cancelled her wedding for $900. My longtime friend from school, S, who happened to be in New York at the same time, agreed to pick it up for me and bring it back with her to where I'm based, where she's also from. I was really grateful and happy, and I was even intending to gift her $100 on top of the Uber rides to and from the place that I said I would reimburse as a token of my appreciation. However, my joy turned to shock, horror, dismay, and disbelief when I saw S's Instagram story showcasing her trying on my wedding dress. I called her out for it, telling her I wasn't happy she not only tried it without my permission, but posted it for the public to see. She didn't take it down even after a conversation we had about this. To make matters worse, she admitted she collected the dress posing as me. Through an email bill later, I noticed that the dress had also been altered, WTF, on the spot, all without my knowledge or consent. When confronted, S nonchalantly stated that it was her one chance to try a wedding gown, and insisted I should get over it and reimburse her the $900 she paid for the dress. My wedding dress experience was entirely hijacked. I'm now hesitant to pay her back. This all happened yesterday, and she reached out today to ask for the money back and told me to get over it because she needs to make a big purchase tomorrow and it would help her cash flow. Since she wants it so bad, she can now have it. Am I the a-hole? Wow, yeah, no, definitely not the a-hole for me. Gee, wedding stuff does weird things to people. Let's look at the comments. Not the a-hole. She had it altered? Wow, it's officially her dress now. Lucky her. Her one chance to try a wedding gown is now her lifetime of owning a wedding gown. She can try it whenever she wants. Not the a-hole. She altered it, tried it, and took a photo and posted it on social media. It's third hand now. Not the a-hole. You need a new dress, and that woman is not your friend. She wants to be in the spot and used your wedding dress to get views. Uninvite her now, or she'll be the one in a blush pink lace dress at your wedding. Now if she has it in writing that you said you would pay for the dress, she can try and sue you. Now you can try to countersue due to her getting the dress altered to her without your permission, possibly causing more financial problems with any future alterations. I wouldn't pay my friend for ruining the surprise of my wedding dress that I was so excited I found. I would have to take some time before I hunt for one again, just to make sure there's no sour taste left in my mouth after this experience. Okay, now for an update. First of all, thank you everyone for being so empathetic and indignant on my behalf. I don't feel crazy anymore. When I saw her post, I completely lost it. I cried so pathetically. I know everyone must be wondering why I'm even friends with Serena, and how that reflects on me as a person too. Serena and I go a long way back. I've always known Serena as a crappy friend, but I still kept her around because of her mental health struggles. I was the only friend connected to her family, so if anything, I would have been the one to sound the alarm. I don't think I could have lived with the guilt if anything really happened to Serena. But well, I guess my job is done because Serena's audacity tells me she's in a much better place. Good for her. Moving forward. I don't have the dress on hand yet, but it's still in New York with her. She's coming back to where we are based in February the 22nd. I agree that she was doing me a favour, and for that I think I'll still pay her for the dress. After all, it is $900, but with the following terms. 1. I will only pay her upon receipt of the dress. The trust is completely broken. I don't know what else she might do to the dress. Sleep in it? I unfortunately need this leverage over her until I have it in my hands. Else she has no incentive to keep her hands off it. For all I know, she chucked it in dusty storage to spite me. 2. I will pay her the $900 minus the cost of dry cleaning and alterations. It's like borrowing a friend's clothing and not washing it before returning it. Did I mention she also tried it after a Pilates class without showering? Ha ha. I think this arrangement is fair, and I would not owe her anything. 3. I will end this friendship. To be honest, I think if Serena and I met as adults, we wouldn't be friends. The friendship has run its course, and I think I did the best I could in this friendship. She for real said I'm pulling an Anna Sorokin on her. Serena called me a con artist and isn't even sorry that she rained all over my parade. Friend? Human? And 4. She's uninvited. Need I say more? And one final update. Serena had actually told me there was lipstick stains on the dress and offered to buy a stain pen. Later, I found out from the shop owner that the stains were actually caused by Serena. So Serena not only lied blatantly, but tried to cover up her vile behaviour by coming across helpful. I've since reverted to Serena and gave Serena 2 options. 1. Sell it to me at half the cost to cover alterations and dry cleaning, or 2. Sell it to someone else. She chose option 2 and showed no remorse. End of story, end friendship. Shout out to my friends and Reddit community. Happy holidays, everyone. Yeah, she sounds like a real piece of work, and I don't blame OP for breaking off that friendship. I just found out my fiancé has been cheating on me with escorts. I can't believe I even had to write that sentence out. We've been together 8 years, engaged for 6 months. We have had problems connecting lately due to a host of underlying issues, his drug and alcohol problems, and I dealt with seasonal affective disorder over the winter. A week ago we went on a trip to get away and rekindle our love, blah blah blah, and I thought we were getting on the right track. However, since we got back, both nights he stayed out past 3 a.m. on a work night, and I've had my suspicions that he started doing coke again, which he promised me he wouldn't. So I snooped, I know, his computer iMessages because they sync up with his phone messages, and yes, he was texting with his dealer and sending pics of him doing coke to his friend Greg. But then I noticed the texts to Greg were weird, like heart emojis and I miss you, so I kept scrolling and there were all these explicit texts and him telling this girl he loves her. Obviously Greg was a fake name, and how much he despises me. And honestly, all this shocking stuff, I still believe I'm in some kind of nightmare. He's been sending her thousands of dollars, and based off their conversations, she's not the only escort he's been sleeping with, and he hasn't been using protection. The kicker is, I've been helping him pay rent and sending him money here and there because of cash flow issues with his business, and he has cash flow issues because of the prostitutes. I don't know why I'm posting this here, maybe because I'm too embarrassed to confide in anyone I know, maybe hoping to hear how other people have gotten through similar situations. He's going out of town next week for work, aka to meet up with this escort, and I'm planning on just moving out without saying anything. I also plan on telling his dad what's going on since it's his father's business and he's taking company money to pay for sex. I also think I should tell his dad about the drug abuse because he's going to kill himself with the path he's on. Coke, Adderall, Xanax, booze, any other substances in the vicinity. I actually hate him to my core right now, but don't actually want him dead. Sorry for the stream of thought, wall of text. It's just 3 a.m. and I can't sleep, and I feel so blindsided, and hoping if I ever fall asleep I'll wake up and this never happened. Geez, that's a rough discovery. Let's see what the comments say. It seems like you already know what you need to do. I'd say you need to focus on yourself, deal with the pain, then turn this into a lesson about what you know you deserve. He obviously has a lot of issues he needs to work on, and you are trying to help as much as a supportive partner should. Might not help, but that's my 2 cents. So glad you found this out before marriage and kids. Seems you have a good head on you, so best of luck and big virtual hugs. Been in a similar place. The heart really stings. Opie replies, thanks, yeah, hoping this utter despair and grief will move on to the anger stage soon. Just feel this giant hole in my chest. I don't want you to think this reflects on you. People put up a really good facade, and where addiction is concerned, they do an incredible job because otherwise they're not getting their next hit. You can't save this man, and what he did is not a reflection on you. How you're handling it is a reflection on you, and you're doing wonderfully. Damn, that's pretty low down. You obviously know what needs to be done. Take an STD test to make sure you're clean and get rid of this guy. 8 years and he's sleeping with prostitutes and doing coke. He clearly doesn't care about his life. Don't let him ruin yours as well. Opie says, yep, getting tested is number 1 on my list to do. And thank you, I can't believe I wasted 8 years for this to be the end. I can't have him ruin my life any longer. The commenter replies, I hear you on the time wasting. Look at it as a lesson on what not to tolerate from now on. Opie replies, true. Definitely changing my ways moving forward, and at least we never went through this with a wedding. Thank you, COVID. Yeah, can you imagine finding all this out after you've had a wedding and a couple kids with them? Yeah, it can help to think about silver linings like that. Anyway, onto an update 3 years later. Oh wow, I'd completely forgotten about this throwaway account I made and just stumbled back on it. As someone who hates when people don't provide updates because I'm nosy, sorry I never provided one. Also, rereading my prior post, it sounds so fake, I'm starting to realize half the crazy posts I think on Reddit are fake actually are probably real, lol. Anyways, onto the updates nobody asked for, and honestly, as it's been almost 3 years at this point, it feels like a lifetime ago, and I can't believe that was my life, so sorry if details are a little glossed over. For starters, in hindsight, finding out about the cheating was the best thing that ever happened to me. I have weird anxious thoughts about the alternative timeline me who never discovered any of this and stayed in that relationship. After I found out, the next day I went and got STD testing, all clear, and the nurse was actually the first person I told about what happened. I immediately started the process of moving out, emailed the landlord separately to let them know we would not be renewing. Luckily we only had like 2 months left. Since he was leaving in a couple days to go out of town for work, I decided to just suck it up and play it cool till he left. Once he left, I packed up all my stuff, hired a moving company to keep my things in storage until I figured out where I wanted to live, and booked a flight out to California to stay at a hotel on a beach with my dog, and I have family out there. I'm actually pretty close with my family, but I did this all on my own, because I just wanted to process things on my own, and wanted to ugly cry in peace. The day my ex was supposed to return to our apartment, I did end up contacting his parents to let them know what was up so they could meet him there, mainly because I was afraid he would do something drastic once he saw I was gone. I ended up staying in California for a couple of months with my sister until I decided to move back to my city mid-summer. I didn't love living out of a suitcase and wanted to make a new place for myself. After initially staying no contact, me and my ex did start texting again. It was not healthy and probably due to some level of codependency. He got into therapy and went sober, although he refused to go to AA or anything. The whole time he thought we would eventually get back together, but I was adamant that we would never, although thought we could be friends, lol. Eventually we had to stop talking because he got ticked that everything he was doing wasn't making me want to get back together with him, and occasionally he would blame me for why he cheated in the first place. Classic. Oh, and he started drinking again. Trigger warning for the next paragraph. The last straw was that fall when he texted me he'd drank a bottle of vodka plus a full bottle of Xanax and he'd see me in the next life. He ended up getting to the hospital on time, and after having his stomach pumped he was fine, but this was a very traumatic event for me. After everything was handled, I blocked his number. Probably should have happened from the start, but I don't know, codependency crap. That saga more or less ended back in November 2021, so flash forward over 2 years later and some present day updates. I'm a completely different person, to where my family is shocked. I hadn't realized how much that relationship was affecting me negatively. I used to truly be a glass half empty person to the core, and now I'm so easygoing, happy, glass half full type of gal, and I lost like 40 pounds. Not that losing weight is always a good thing, but in my case it was. I'm 33 now, and to all the ladies out there afraid of starting over in their 30s, don't despair. I've been dating my amazing boyfriend for 2 years now, who is actually perfect for me. My ex and I were opposites. He was a chaotic wild card, grumpy, and really not a kind or considerate person. I'm really embarrassed why I was dating a person like this. My current boyfriend is so chill, has such a calming presence, and is the kindest and most thoughtful person I've met. We've not had a single fight in the 2 years we've been together, and are just very respectful of each other, something that at the core my last relationship lacked. My ex seems to be doing fine, hasn't changed much from what I hear through the grapevine. We don't really talk, but I wish him the best. Okay guys, and that's the end of that one. Yeah, I mean, congrats on OP for the new life. Sounds like she sorted it out. But yeah, she seemed to have a pretty good handle on things from the beginning. I can't imagine how that would feel, finding something out like that, but yeah, she handled it really well. I mean, what would you guys do in that situation? Let me know. I reckon it'd be hard to play it cool like she did for so long. Anyway, let's go to another story. Okay, we're jumping over to Am I the A-hole? This one was written by a throwaway account, and it's titled, Am I the A-hole? My fiancé wants to be a stay-at-home fiancé. My fiancé has proposed something that I've never heard of. We had a big argument and she felt I was acting like an a-hole. I wanted to get opinion on what she is asking is a thing and if it's something I should be worried about. I, 30 male, recently got engaged to my fiancée Emma, 26, last month. Emma is amazing and we met at work. I'm a researcher in a big tech firm while Emma works in marketing. We met 2.5 years ago during a company event and I was completely smitten by her. I asked her out, she said yes, and we've had an amazing relationship so far. One of the things I love about Emma is how organized she is. Her job involves working on marketing events and event planning. She's great at it and I'm proud of her. However, her work also involves working for longer hours, especially if she is helping in organizing events or meetups. Since my job is a desk job, I generally have very predictable hours and do not generally have to work late. She always complains about how I get to sit in a nice office, or she's driving around everywhere and getting things done. I know this might come off poorly, but I'm neurodivergent, ADD, and struggle with simple things, and that's one of the reasons I love her, as I struggle with anything that requires organization. She is patient and makes my life better in many ways. We moved in together in the summer. She moved into my apartment. That was the first time we discussed finances openly. Due to some really lucky factors and stock value appreciation, I have a pretty good compensation package. She knew I was financially stable, but was shocked when she learned what I make. I was actually equally shocked at what she makes. It turns out I was making around 15 times more than her. I offered her to not pay anything and concentrate on saving to pay back her student debt, which was paused at that time. I own our apartment. However, she said that she also wanted to contribute and we decided to split the expenses proportional to what we make, which I thought was fair. She has always been very independent and self-sufficient. Now to the issue. So we got engaged around a month ago during the holidays. She had never asked me for anything expensive before. However, she wanted a specific diamond engagement ring that cost us close to 15k. I was not comfortable spending that, but she convinced me that she was going to wear it for the rest of her life, and hence it's worth it. We got it and she was very happy. Whenever she shows the ring to anyone, she often attempts to mention the cost of the ring in the conversation. I feel extremely uncomfortable with showing off, and have told her many times to stop. However, she continues doing it. Yesterday I came home and she asked me to sit on the couch next to her. She said she wanted to talk about something important. She said that she's planning to quit her job next month and give her 15-day notice. I was shocked and asked her if anything was wrong. She said that she wants to plan the wedding and it's going to take a lot of time. We plan to get married in the summer. Hence, she wants to make sure she takes care of all the bookings soon. I asked her why she needed to quit her job for that, and she said that she was tired of working long hours and wanted to be a stay-at-home fiancé. I laughed and told her that was not a thing. Plus, she still has tens of thousands of dollars of student loans. She argued that it was less than what I make in a month, and we're a team now, so she's not worried about it. I asked her what her plans were after the wedding, and she said that she'd not planned what to do after that, but was glad I was with her. I told her that she could take a break, but I'm not comfortable with her just abandoning her career at such a young age, especially since we're not planning to have kids for at least a few years. She's good at what she does, and I want her to be independent even after marriage, in case something bad happens to me. We had a big argument, and she feels I'm an a-hole to want her to work after marriage when we can afford for her to stay at home. On one hand, what she makes is not going to affect our finances. However, it just rubbed me the wrong way. I've never heard of anyone leaving their job to plan the wedding. Is stay-at-home fiancé really a thing? I want to support her and make her life comfortable, but I feel quitting her career is a little too early for her age. Yeah, honestly, I can kind of see both sides of the argument here. I don't think anyone's really wrong here for what they want, but it's clear this is going to take some proper talking through to work out. But yeah, I guess the danger here for OP is that his fiancée becomes complacent and a bit too comfortable leading a jobless life. You know, she's still got the student loans and stuff to pay off, and, you know, without the motivation of a job to keep that going, it's going to fall onto him. Like, I think it's really important for people to have structure and assigned, you know, projects like work to do. Otherwise, it could be really easy to just sit at home and become depressed. You know, I've always believed that even if I won the lottery and never had to work another day in my life, I still would work. I'd still get a job and just, you know, chip at it, just to keep some motivation, to give yourself something to wake up to in the morning, you know? Now, obviously, Opie's fiancé is probably a little bit sick of her job, which is okay. Like, I wouldn't want my significant other working a job that she hates for the rest of her life either. So there's her side in that, I suppose. Anyway, let's see what the comments think. Nobody is the a-hole here. You just need to go to counselling and iron out how finances and work are going to look in your marriage, i.e., do you want to fully support her? If so, great, or not. These are make or break things in a marriage. Better to work them out now. Opie replies, "Thanks, she has a college degree and I really want her to not be codependent on me. This can be addressed in counselling or more communication." Not the a-hole. The fact that she went from an independent, capable adult to wanting to be your dependent after she found out how much you make is a huge concern. If she was willing to throw away her own career for this perceived easy life, that doesn't bode well for if she'll stick with you if you ever lost the ability to pull such a high salary. Opie replies, "What concerned me was that she waited until we got engaged and then told me about this. I just wanted opinions on if anyone else has observed this and how they dealt with the situation." Have her sign a prenuptial agreement. What's she planning on doing with her days after the wedding and before you have kids? Opie replies, "We already have a prenup signed before engagement." Yeah, it's probably smart. Okay, on to an update. Last week, I posted an update regarding my fiancée whom I got recently engaged to, asking me if she can leave her job and be a stay-at-home fiancée. For context, the issue was I earn a lot more than her, around 15 times, because of some lucky circumstances, even though we work in the same company. She did not know that until last summer, when we moved in, as I have a very modest apartment that I own, and don't spend a lot of money on myself, unless on a few of my hobbies. After we got engaged, she asked me if she could leave her job, to plan for a wedding full-time and be a stay-at-home fiancé. I posted this here because I thought the term stay-at-home fiancé was funny, and thought it would make a few of you chuckle. After thousands of you calling her a gold digger, I thought it was time for a serious talk and understand why she wanted to quit her job. I was able to gather my thoughts and was able to have a conversation with her. On Friday night, we ordered in and had a nice dinner. I again brought up the subject of why she wanted to quit her job. I tried to be supportive and not act like an a-hole when asking the questions. Initially, she went all defensive about why she wanted to stay home and started talking about how it would not matter since she barely made enough to contribute to our relationship. I tried to explain it to her that it was not just about the money. I told her how hardworking and talented she is in her field, and she's worked very hard to finally get a position where she's helping with event management for such a large organisation. I also talked about the fact that although I make good money, I've been working for a few years, and we do not have enough savings where if something happens to me, she'll be taken care of. I told her about my fears that having a large salary means I have the biggest target on my back when it comes to layoffs. Overall, I think I was able to get my point across on why I feel she should not give up on her career at the age of 26. She agreed with most of the things I said. She told me that she was very overwhelmed with all the things that needed to be done before our wedding. She commented on how I'm really bad at organising tasks and she'll have to handle many of the things on her own. Our parents insist that we get married this year, and it's a very short time frame to plan everything. She said that she feels burnt out at work and barely has any energy left at the end of the week after running around everywhere and sometimes travelling to different cities. Her exact complaint was her boss treated her like a work mule, and it was degrading to do all the work for barely any money. Hence, she wants to avoid the work stress and plan for the wedding from a happy place. She promised that she would start looking for work once we were done with our wedding and honeymoon trip. However, she does not want to work in a role she's currently working in and wants a job with more predictable hours. She also talked about going back to school and getting her master's. She insisted that she did not want to be a trophy wife, and I jokingly pointed out that the best she would qualify for would be a consolation trophy. She laughed, but don't think she was happy with that. I think that was fair, and she plans to resign late this week. Hopefully she'll be able to enjoy the days off and re-energize before the wedding. As for all the gold digger comments, I understand where you're coming from. I grew up poor, and I make an effort to never show off what I have, to a fault, because not everyone in my family has got what I have. She fell into that version of me. If I trust her enough to get married to her, then I also have to trust my perception of her. For me, she is the smartest, hardest working, independent person who frankly does not care about stuff. Granted, she got a nice engagement ring and was excited to show it around. However, most of my colleagues' spouses also have nicer rings. Overall, sorry for such a stupid, non-entertaining update. Glad we were able to talk about it and move on. Okay, that's the end of that one. Gee, I still can't wrap my head around these numbers, like he makes 15 times more than her. I can't tell if he's just like super rich or if she's getting severely underpaid. Like say she makes, I don't know, 50k a year. That would mean he makes about 750,000. I don't understand why he's still kind of stingy on money. Like I get he hasn't been working the job for a while, but if he's worried about being set up financially, I don't know what he's talking about. Also, a $15,000 engagement ring really isn't that much proportionate to his salary. It's a lot more than what other people would pay for, proportionate to theirs. Yeah, I don't know. I get a feeling that Opie's fiancé is genuinely unhappy with the situation, and maybe there's a bit of resentment for how much he's making and probably how little work he's doing around the house as well. I don't know, now I'm just assuming, but yeah, I can't help but think that. My fiancé of 8 years refuses to have a wedding. My fiancé does not want a wedding of any kind. No elopement, no ceremony, no ring exchange, no vows, nothing. I've always wanted a traditional medium-sized wedding, but I've compromised to doing an elopement with just my parents present. He refused, so I compromised again and said let's just do the paperwork like he wants, then go to dinner with the four of us and celebrate. He refused. Then I said, okay, let's just do the paperwork and dinner with the two of us, and then get some pictures of the two of us and maybe do a party or something with family a few months from now. He refused. I just want to make it special. It's important to me, and I've expressed that to him, and he'll not compromise on anything. We've been together for 8 years, so it's not as if we don't know each other well. I'm really starting to rethink getting married and even staying in this relationship, but he says I'm being bratty. Am I putting too much importance on this? Anyone else just do paperwork and call it a day and not regret it? Edit to add, he just wants to do paperwork and make it legal. He doesn't want a ceremony or fanfare of any kind. He doesn't have family he wants to invite, and I'm very close to my family and want to have them at something. He also wants to focus on saving money and not spending it on a wedding. Also, thank you for all of the time everyone has taken to leave thoughtful replies to this post. It's really helping me reflect on the situation, and I appreciate the responses. I mean, there's got to be a compromise somewhere, right? It's not just his wedding, it's hers as well. And you really don't have to spend heaps of money to make a wedding special. The guy just sounds lazy to me at this point. Also, imagine being with someone for 8 years and refusing to just spend one day celebrating your love. Honestly, the more I think about it, the more selfish this guy is, and the more alarm bells are going on in my head. Let's go to the comments. Your post made me so sad. You keep making yourself smaller and smaller to try to accommodate him. Any man who loves you and wants to marry you would be proud to celebrate your union, even if it's just in a simple way. Honestly, I think you're putting way too little importance on his behaviour. I can understand if he was just refusing a ceremony, but even refusing paperwork and a dinner just doesn't make sense. Are you sure he even wants to get married? He knows you aren't going anywhere considering you've been engaged for 8 years and put up with it. He should have rethought the relationship a long time ago. A man not even willing to bend a little bit to make you happy? Are you sure this is the husband you want? Sure sounds like he's just your boyfriend, not your fiancé. He has no interest whatsoever in getting married. Sure seems odd it's taken 8 years to discover that he'll not ever really be your fiancé. Sorry. Now Opie answers some comments. How much did you push for him to get engaged? 'Cause my spidey sense is that he wasn't so willingly going down on one knee. My bet, he doesn't want to get married. He caved to the engagement, and now bashing the wedding is his latest way to delay and push it off. Opie replies, I really didn't push. We've been living together for 7 years, and he just showed up in the kitchen one afternoon with an engagement ring. I was like, okay. I do also think you're right that he doesn't really want to get married on some level. The thing I'm confused about is I was very slow to schedule anything because I'd rather delay it than give in to something I don't want to do. But he asked me daily to schedule an appointment to do the paperwork. Why not just leave it alone and wait for me to initiate everything? I wouldn't have even scheduled the paperwork if he didn't keep pushing me because I wanted to plan an elopement. OP, after reading your post, I have a feeling he doesn't even want to make it legal. You offered him many options. What's the problem with signing the papers and having dinner with your parents? Is that an inconvenience to him? OP replies, he doesn't want to spend the money and thinks I'm too dependent on my parents. I see them for holidays and talk to them on the phone weekly. He isn't close to his family, so he thinks I shouldn't be. He doesn't want to get married. My guess is you were talking about getting engaged. To shut you up, he proposed. I want to know the details of how you got engaged. Did he half-ass it, put in effort, etc.? OP replies, it was 100% half-assed, but for some context, he does have mental health issues, and doing big things tend to be overwhelming, which I get, and that's why I don't generally expect a lot. We don't go on dates, we don't do much at all to be honest, but that's the place he's at right now. He got a ring from a family member and gave it to me in the kitchen and said, want to get married? I also didn't push him to get married, but I'm wondering now if he asked because he felt like he should. Is he considerate of you in other ways, or is he generally as dismissive of your feelings as he is about this? If it's just a quirk and he's a wonderful and caring man otherwise, then just let it go, I guess. But it seems doubtful that a man who exhibits such a complete lack of regard for your wants and feelings in this will be a good partner. Only you can know that, and I've seen you carefully not answer any questions about that. Opie replies, it's kind of complicated. He has some mental health issues he's been dealing with since before I met him. He doesn't want a ceremony because he has no family he wants to invite, and he doesn't want to spend the money, which I understand, but I think he's going too far in the opposite direction. If he can't have his way, no one can, and again, I'm wondering if I should see this as a red flag. I do overlook times when he doesn't show up for me, and these comments and questions are making me reflect on those, and I'm seeing a trend. There are things that I thought were upsetting at the time, but decided to move on from because they're little, like not taking me to the hospital when I was sick, not giving me a ride when my car broke down, not going to my graduation, things like that. I take him to everything and even drove him an hour away to a doctor's appointment after I worked. But I show love through acts of service and support, and he thinks financial support and spending time with him is love. I'm wondering if we're just incompatible and this is the first real big life decision we've tried to make together. Is he the same for every celebration? He never has a birthday party or goes to dinner to celebrate his birthday? Opie replies, no, which is another reason why I'm wondering if I'm making this too much of a big deal. He doesn't celebrate anything. I always get him a cake, make his favourite dinner, and wrap a gift for his birthday, but he really doesn't ever ask to do anything or mark it in any way. Mine either. He usually just asks me what I want to do for the day, and I buy myself a gift. He's not a big thrills kind of guy, which I've never minded, except this one thing. Maybe I'm asking for something he really isn't capable of doing. Yeah, I don't know. The more Opie kind of describes this guy, the more I'm just seeing some dude who's just doing the bare minimum to stay in a relationship. I mean, she mentioned mental health issues from before they got together. So you're telling me they went through 8 years of life together and he never addressed any mental health issues, or even gave his fiancée a better understanding of them? It seems like Opie's got no idea what this guy thinks. And she's constantly making excuses for him, or like playing down things that are really red flags. Like, what do you mean I'm wondering if I should see this as a red flag? Everything you've described here is a red flag. I don't know, maybe that's just me. Am I overthinking things now? God, I'm going crazy. Too much Reddit, jeez. Let's go to the update, and honestly I'm crossing my fingers she leaves him. After reading through the comments and reflecting, I had another conversation with him. He agreed to have dinner with the two of us and take a couple of photos, but only if he could buy himself a new computer. That was much more insulting to me than anything before, especially because he claimed his reason for not agreeing to anything is mostly because of money. I think most of the comments were correct in that he never really wanted to get married. I called everything off, cancelled our appointment to do paperwork, and returned to the ring we bought. I'll have to deal with telling my co-workers, but I guess I'll Google how to tell people without going into too much detail. I am leaving him. I have ignored a lot of stuff with him because we're financially stable together, comfortable, and he was my first and only relationship, so I think I just wanted to make it work and didn't really know what was normal and what I've learned to tolerate. Okay, suddenly it makes so much sense. Like, this was Opie's first proper relationship, so I guess I can excuse her naivety on this one. God, 8 years of your life though. Down the drain, just like that. Oh well, at least she's still relatively young, and I think we know it's for the best. I'd love to hear your thoughts about this one. Let me know down below. Okay, let's jump to another story. Okay, well, on the Am I the A-hole subreddit, this one was written by user The Brown Hamster, and it's titled, Am I the a-hole for putting my foot down and not adding my husband to the deed? Background. I, 29 female, have known and been with my husband, 33, for the past 4 years and married for 2 years. I started working when I was 21, right after my bachelor's degree. After 2 years of working, I bought myself a house. Nothing fancy. I bought the land and built the house. It's a 3-bedroom, 2-floor house. I got to know and dated my husband in 2019. The construction of my house had finished by then. He lived in a different country, so when he visited me, I took him to show my house. I'm very proud of it. It is something I built with my own money, and I own it, however small. After our wedding, I moved to the country where he was already staying. We split our bills and rent equally. We both work in IT and earn pretty good, so we are planning to buy a house. We found a place we liked and can afford. We are putting both our names to the deed because both of us are paying for it together. The problem arose when he said he wanted his name added to the house I bought myself. I'm not comfortable doing that, and I said so. He said it's unfair that I have 2 now, and he would have part on 1. I said it was his bad plan for not buying a house before. I bought that house before I knew he existed, and with my own money. Since he had no contribution to it, I'm not obligated to make him feel good by adding him to deeds. He then proceeded to call his family. While his sister and brother-in-law support me, his mum and dad said that it's not about money, but it's about the togetherness, and whatever it is should be for the both of us or none. I said I'm sorry, but this is not happening. He will never be in the deed, even if he pays his share, which he and his family thinks he should not because it's ours, not mine or his, because I know how much I struggled to have that house and make it happen. Now his mum and dad are saying I disrespected them by saying this. Am I the a-hole? Edit 1. Both of us are from the same country. We're on a visa in a different country and we work there. We're planning to buy a house where we work on visa. We are allowed to do that. We are planning to stay for 5 more years at least, so buying a house made it seem logical. In my country, we don't have a prenup culture. I did tell him earlier that this was mine and I won't ever give it to anyone, unless I'm dead, in which case it'll go to either my kids, if I have any, or the charity. Edit 2, because someone pointed this out. My husband's family has generational wealth. I don't. He's never depended on me for anything. We married because we loved each other. It has nothing to do with money, at least in my case. Edit 3. I'm sorry if it looks like I'm entitled when I say that I bought the land from my dad in a comment. I did buy it from him for real cheap, but I paid off all the construction cost, material cost, labour cost, etc. by myself. I even plastered and painted the walls myself when I was a little low on money. I think this makes it valid for me to be proud of what I did. I'm from a developing country, and I'm sorry that you have to crap on me if just the land came for cheap and I paid and did everything. I cut the tiles myself and mixed paints and watered the cement, so hell yeah, I'm proud and have emotional attachment to that place. Edit 4. I am not in the US. Any property I own before marriage or after, if it has my name on the deeds, it belongs to me alone. I could choose to register it in anyone else's name if I want to, or register a POA, or register someone as co-owner later, but it's completely up to my discretion. We do not have a communal property law. Let's go to the comments. You have a serious husband problem. First, no, it is your house. He didn't contribute anything to it, so no, don't add into the deed. But second, he called his family to push end you into what he wanted? That is childish and a huge red flag. His family's opinions are not binding on you. Just because they agree with them does not make him right. The fact that he's trying to rule you by majority concerns me. That's a serious issue, having to run to mummy as an adult because he isn't getting his way. Not the a-hole OP. Don't let him force you into something like this. It's yours. I don't know if you're in the US or not, but hope you got protective papers covering your assets. Not the a-hole. Of course his family will back him up. They want their son to get free equity. I would not trust him if I were you. Why would anyone feel entitled to something that they don't own? I don't get his logic. Get a will done. I would not trust him to be your POA. He can't be trusted to make decisions for your own good. Only his. On to an update. Vote of thanks. 1. Thank you for all the insights and suggestions from all the enormous number of people that invested their time into reading it. 2. A lot of people suggested I bring in my parents and make it even. I didn't want to take that route because 2 wrongs don't make a right and too many cooks spoil the broth. And 3. Finally, for all the people who have submitted their decisions, whether you're the a-hole or not the a-hole, thank you. I like to read all the perspectives. Update. I talked to my husband. I told him all my insecurities regarding the matter. I told him how I put my blood and sweat into it, how I've spent nights without sleeping and a few without eating to finish it, how I've plastered and painted the walls myself. He was very understanding. He told me how he didn't know all that and what that means to me. He's fine with not being added to the deed. I suggested him to buy another place which is just his, and since it's not the end of the world and we will earn more, we will buy even more assets in the future, and he was fine with all the suggestions. Talking to his parents, he told them that it's not happening. They're still upset and think I'm wrong, and they did say so. This time, however, he told them it's not their decision to make and it should not bother them. We are building a life together. He was wrong to bring them into it and he apologized for that. I apologized for just blurting things without giving reasons, and we decided to communicate and talk more when it comes to decisions. He suggested weekly sit-downs where we just sit and talk stuff about our future, about our day, or anything that is making us unhappy or scared or happy, anything at all. That would be time for us alone. I did show him the post and he laughed at it. Got a little sad that I would rather tell a bunch of strangers about my fears but him, and we'll work on it. You can't help but feel that because Opie's husband's family comes from, generational wealth, that they just heard the word asset or saw an opportunity for more equity within their family and their eyes just lit up. Greed breeds greed. Anyway, what are your thoughts about this one? Let me know down below. Okay, we'll jump to another story. Okay, we're on the same subreddit. This one was written by user Mindless Surfing and it's titled, Am I the a-hole for laughing at a customer? This happened to me yesterday at work and it's something I'll never forget. I work at an animal shelter and I had a customer come in who I remembered from a few weeks ago, a man who had adopted this cat named Nelson. I remember this because Nelson was one of the few cats we listed as sensitive, so we know to keep them in a private room where they won't be bothered by crazy younger cats, because he came from a home where there was trauma. Due to this, he is extremely skittish and can misbehave on occasion. The man came in with Nelson in the carrier and came to the front desk asking to talk to our manager and that he had a complaint. I asked him what the complaint was, but he insisted he wanted to talk to the manager, Alan, who helped him pick Nelson out. It takes me a few minutes to find Alan because we are all generally all over the place here, and when we come back, Alan asks the guy what the issue is. Is the cat sick or did it hurt you, etc. General things we ask when people roll up trying to return a pet. In most cases, we can work it out and make sure the animal doesn't have to be returned. I stuck around because I wanted to hear why this guy was trying to return the cat, because I'm nosy. He said, he refuses to listen to any order I give him. Alan and I were a little puzzled and asked what he meant. Alan said, well, we don't know his full training history, but most cats know the general word no because of the tone behind it. Have you tried? The guy cut him off and said, he's choosing not to listen to me. I told him the rules when we got home and he has ignored every single one. The guy went on a rant saying how the cat was told to use a litter box, but he pissed on the floor multiple times, how he told the cat to not go into the spare room but he still does, and so on. Right then it clicked to me. This guy thinks the cat understands what he is saying. I asked him, wait, do you think the cat can understand you? Like he understands the words you say to him? The man tilted his head at me and looked at me like I was an idiot and said, he is choosing not to. That's the frickin' issue. I couldn't help it. I burst out laughing so hard I almost teared up. That's just never anything I've ever heard of. Someone genuinely thinking animals can understand what a human was saying, like they were also human. Long story short, I was told to leave the room by Alan, who figured out the issue, and I did kind of feel like a dick after, because I guess the guy had never had a pet before, and hadn't really been around animals other than a few well-trained dogs, and he legit thought animals could understand you. My boss wasn't mad at me at all, but told me I acted very unprofessional, which I do agree to some extent. I don't think I was an ass, but I know I should have maybe not laughed so hard. I was on kennel duty the next 2 days. I shouldn't have laughed in front of him, but damn, I couldn't help it. Edit, the cat was returned, but in this case it seems to be the best outcome. Also, shelters aren't always the worst situation for an animal. We love our babies at our shelter. Not the case for all of them though. Edit 2, I'll update when he finds his forever home. I would take him myself, but I have a 13-year-old cat and a 2-year-old lab, so it's not the ideal house for the little guy. Yeah, unprofessional maybe, but pretty funny. Let's go to the comments. Not the a-hole. You probably shouldn't have laughed, but that guy was being ridiculous. I hope Nelson finds a loving home. I've been lying in bed for over an hour yelling at my cat to make me a coffee, and he's pretending that he can't hear me. So rude. Not the a-hole. Not owning a lot of pets is not an excuse for thinking that cats have that level of comprehension. He's an adult. However, as someone who volunteers at a cat shelter, I am a bit concerned that a sensitive cat was allowed to be adopted by this level of ignorance. I'm not sure how a gap of misunderstanding this large about how cats work get missed. I realise beggars can't be choosers, but part of placing shelter animals is making sure they're in a home appropriate for their needs, and that the owner understands that. Okay, update time. Good news, ladies and gents. Some of you may remember my previous post. If not, read it because it's hilarious and has a cute cat. The news. Our boy Nelson has found his forever home. He got adopted 8 days ago and I've been waiting to see if it stuck before posting. Nelson became a top priority to adopt out as he was one of our most difficult but favourite cats we took care of. He became pet of the month and got the attention of an older gentleman who came in, get this, with a printed out copy of our Facebook post. It was very adorable of him. This man automatically took us as a great candidate for Nelson since he was an experienced cat owner. He had a bit of a sad story. His wife passed last year and their 18-year-old tabby passed away 4 months ago. He was very lonely and wanted to get a new friend, but didn't want to get a young cat. He is older and doesn't have the energy to take care of a demanding cat. Nelson was absolutely perfect. I've seen very heartwarming moments with pets and their new families, but this one was a top. As you guys may remember, Nelson is a cranky a-hole that you can't help but love. He's not really nice and he's standoffish, but I kid you not, when we brought him into the meeting room, he pranced over to the man and hopped up onto his lap. My jaw almost hit the floor. After 30 minutes of Nelson going ape crap over this man, he was adopted and went off to his new home. The man has sent us photos and updates of Nelson since then, and it seems to be going very well. I guess he speaks cat. I won't be posting photos as the man is in them and, you know, I'm not trying to get in trouble at work again. Thank you guys for being Nelson's biggest fans, and I'm so stoked that both of them got a happy ending together. My fiancé gave me an ultimatum. Stop being friends with my ex and stop our families interacting, or she'll call off the wedding and our relationship. Throwaway for obvious reasons. I'm hoping to gain some insight by posting here. Some outside opinions are something I would be very grateful for right now. Some background. My ex-girlfriend Emma, 26, and I, 26 male, were together for 9 years. We got together when we were 13 and broke things off when we were 22. We were friends since the first grade. We grew up together, our families became quite close, and our friendship circles were always intertwined at some point or another. This will be important later. We drifted in different directions as we got older, and we realized what we wanted from our relationships were ultimately different. We no longer had romantic feelings for one another, so we decided we would be better off as friends. We were best friends anyway. There hasn't been anything romantic since we broke up, nothing of a sexual nature either. A quick hug here and there to say goodbye at most. I truly haven't felt that way about her since things ended, and she's the same. The breakup was very amicable. Now to the issue. My fiancée, Sarah, 24, and I have been together for almost 3 years. I proposed a few days ago, and we're set to be married this year. I was so happy when she said yes. Our relationship has been great. Amazing communication, always smiling together. It's been wonderful. She knew about my past with Emma, as I was very upfront with her about it when we first began dating, as Emma and I are still friends. Our families still get together for sporting events, have parties and hang out together all of the time. My parents are really close to hers, and our siblings, 22 male, 25 female, 17 female, 18 female, and 19 male, are good friends too. They're really close. They even have a weekly pizza night. We also have a few common friends. I didn't want Sarah to feel uncomfortable at any point, so I tried really hard to let her know everything I could and take the right steps to show her she is my number one. I would always include her in family events, make sure my family would spend time with her, and have even tried to create our own rituals together. I adore this girl. I think she is incredible, and from the day I met her, I've been head over heels. She hasn't voiced a single problem to me about any of this until today. She would even encourage me to invite Emma over to get-togethers we've hosted, or along to movies or dinner with our other friends. I was under the impression Sarah really liked her, especially considering the extra effort she would make to include her. Sarah and Emma have always gotten along, and they haven't been anything but nice to one another. I thought they were friends. She told me today, after taking time to think about it, that our friendship is, quote, weird and shouldn't continue. She gave me an ultimatum, to end our friendship or she will end the relationship. She said she feels disrespected I would even consider keeping someone I had a relationship with in my life. I couldn't get a single word in before she left. She's staying with a friend tonight. I don't understand how any of this could happen. She seemed happy. This is meant to be a positive time in our relationship. She said nothing has happened between her, Emma, or our families. I don't know what to do. She's been blowing up my phone with texts and I don't know what to say. I thought I did everything right. Emma and I are still friends, not overly close though, but we definitely don't cross any kind of boundaries together. We don't speak about anything inappropriate or do anything we should not. She's also in a relationship at the moment. We don't talk every day and we don't see each other one-on-one or very frequently. Sarah has also mentioned that she is uncomfortable with our families spending time together after we have broken up and wants me to put an end to that behaviour as well. I can't control what my family does, who they see or who they're friends with. They've been nothing but kind to Sarah. They make a real effort to make her feel special and even include her family. I don't know what to do. Is my friendship wrong? Should I talk to our families? Or is this ultimatum fair? Edit. I just want to mention, because I've gotten a few comments about it, that Emma and I are no longer close. I see her at events she is also invited to, or when Sarah invites her along with us and our friends to do something. I don't actively seek her out for one-on-one time, or invite her places myself. I don't even message her or text her. She's in a relationship too. Our families are close, parents are best friends, and our siblings grew up together. They even still have sleepovers. That means I'll see her places or run into her. That is really hard to avoid, but I really do try. I wanted to make that clear. I made an effort to set up boundaries to make Sarah as comfortable as possible. I've tried so hard. Yeah, it seems like, given all the details OP's given here, that this ultimatum has completely come out of left field. Perhaps there was something Emma maybe said to Sarah that OP didn't hear. I feel like there's more to this. Let's go to the comments. It kind of sounds like somebody got in Sarah's ear and fed an insecurity. Take her out for a coffee or something and ask where this is coming from. Tell her that your relationship is your priority, but that you need to understand where this is coming from if you're going to end a friendship over it. Try to get her to tell you what's actually going on. Don't promise to control your family, that's unreasonable, and something you can only fail at. My guess is that this is a scapegoat for something else that's bothering Sarah. You just need to find out what it is. Someone has been feeding her ear poison about your relationship with your ex. Such drastic change is suspicious. All long-hidden insecurities have come to the surface. Or perhaps she sees her engagement and eventually marriage as a chapter of her life she doesn't want to share with her significant other's ex. Or it could be a combination of any of those things. It sounds like Sarah was talking to her uptight friend or family member. Something just seems fishy here. You two need to have an actual conversation about this. She can't just lay this on you and then bolt. Has she ever expressed insecurities over your relationship before? Opie replies, she has never expressed insecurities before. I've made sure to ask and see if certain things have made her uncomfortable, but nothing has ever come up. Things were going really well before this. It's like a flip is switched. What has she said in the texts? Opie says, the texts are where her feelings about our families being close came in. She only voiced the fact she didn't want Emma and I to have anything to do with one another before she left and raced out of the door. I've tried calling, but she won't answer. I've left voicemails telling her I want to talk, but I haven't heard a response beyond make a choice. You obviously don't control who your family has as friends. Will she then insist you cut off your family when they continue to be friends with Emma and her family? Your significant other is being unreasonable and unrealistic. Are there other worrisome controlling behaviours she engages in that you perhaps haven't addressed? Opie replies, she hasn't been controlling, or if she has, I've not been able to tell. When we first started hosting get-togethers though and going out, I didn't mention Emma or inviting her. I thought it would be more of a couple thing we did for us and our friends, but she would insist Emma came along, even though I never asked. That's the worst she's been in my opinion, but she really wanted her to come. She wouldn't let it go. At the time I figured she just wanted to be friends. Now I'm thinking it could have meant something else. Sarah never acted maliciously in those settings. She only ever wanted to talk to Emma about shows, music, etc. She had a few things in common with her that she didn't have anyone else to talk to about them with. Yeah, it's bizarre behaviour. Let's go to an update. It's been a very eventful 3 days, and after all of the advice I was given on my last post, I thought I would share an update. I also want to thank everyone for their words of wisdom and kindness. I read every comment and took them all to heart. I really appreciated it. This update is long and not what I was hoping for, but what happened has happened. I couldn't get a hold of Sarah for 2 days. She wouldn't answer my calls or my messages. I left her a voicemail asking her to come home or to meet up somewhere for coffee so we could talk together. I let her know I loved her, that she would always be first. I heard nothing back. She's never been like this. If we had an issue, we would always talk it through. We even had a pact to never go to bed mad at one another, and we never have. But she didn't come home. She didn't even reply to me. At first, I thought she wanted some time to cool down, but it just kept getting later. I couldn't stop thinking she would walk back through the door. She didn't. I heard nothing from her. I could barely get any sleep. I texted her, explaining I'd do whatever I could to show her how much she means to me. I explained the only reason I saw Emma was at gatherings for mutual friends and family friends that she tagged along to, or when Sarah invited her to events herself. I told her she didn't have to do that I didn't want it or need it. I only wanted her. I said I wouldn't attend any get-togethers I knew Emma would attend at all. I also tried my best to explain that our families were very close before Emma and I got together, and that I couldn't control who they were friends with. I did tell her we could talk though, and that we would maybe come up with something together that would make her feel more comfortable. I let her know my family loves her. She didn't reply. It took everything I had to not keep calling her to see if she was okay, but I didn't want to upset her further. I read some comments saying it might, so I tried to listen. I still hadn't heard from her by the afternoon of the next day. I tried to call her again, but it rung out. I sent her another message telling her I just wanted to know if she was okay, and that if I didn't hear back from her soon, I would have to start calling her family or her friends. I didn't know if something had happened to her. This was so out of character. She's never done this. I was so worried. She texted me back straight away. I'm fine. I'm not coming home. That was it. I tried to call her. I knew she was right there. I figured she would pick up. I called, but she'd turned her phone off. I didn't know what to do. I felt like my heart had been ripped out of my chest. I didn't know what I should be doing. I didn't know what would bring her home. I just wanted to talk. I wanted to make it better. I ended up going to my parents' house last night. They live close, about 5 minutes on a slow day. I was an absolute mess, and I didn't think I would cope by myself. It was about 8 p.m. when I went over. I hadn't heard from her again. I went to bed in the spare room. I was only asleep for a few hours when crap started to hit the fan. My phone was going off. It was Sarah. "Where are you? Did you run back to her?" I had no idea what she was talking about. I told her I was at my parents'. I told her I was coming home. I begged her to please just stay. I was fumbling trying to get myself dressed and find my keys. It was about 2 in the morning. I kept dropping everything. I wanted to be gone. I was halfway out the door, and that's when it happened. She pulled up into the driveway and was absolutely livid when she got out of the car. She was screaming at me, yelling her head off, and no matter what I did, she wouldn't calm down. The street my parents live on is fairly echoey. She was loud. People started flicking their lights on, and our neighbours started to come out onto their porches. It was a crap show. My parents came outside too, and my mother started to try to talk to her. They've always gotten along well, and she wasn't responding to me no matter how much I tried. Sarah wasn't having it. She told me she knew what I'd been doing behind her back, that her family knew, and I was lucky enough to be given a chance to cut my ties and move on after having an affair for so long. I have never cheated on her, let alone have an affair. I love Sarah. I wanted to marry her and be with her. It didn't matter what I said. She wouldn't believe me. She wouldn't listen. She kept calling me every name under the sun. My mother asked her to please come inside to talk, that it was a misunderstanding, that I loved her, that they loved her, and we just needed to talk it through. Sarah started calling her a bee, a terrible mother, a crappy person, told her that she knew what I was apparently doing, and even encouraged it, how sick she was for that. My mother tried to explain herself, that this wasn't happening, and that's when Sarah slapped her, out of nowhere, full force. I went silent. My mother started to cry. Sarah started apologizing over and over. It was instant regret, or at least it looked that way. It didn't matter. I ended it right there. I told her to go, that the engagement was off, we were over, and that she needed to get her things from my house. She was crying, still apologizing, but you can't come back from that. She hit my mother. She's never not shown all the love in the world to Sarah, and for her to do that to someone, let alone someone that means so much to me, was enough. I don't know why she wouldn't listen to me. I don't know why she chose to believe these other people over me, why she wouldn't even talk, but it doesn't matter. I've never felt this empty. I gave 3 years of my life to someone who refused to even talk to me or believe me. I thought I knew her. I thought she was kind. How can you go so long with someone and not even know what they could be capable of? All I know at this point is that I plan to stay single for a while. Wow, I can't imagine how incredibly sad and frustrating that must be for OP. Let's read some final comments to wrap this one up. Her behaviour is extraordinarily odd. I would reach out to a few friends of hers you really know you can trust and let them know what kind of bad shape she's in. Honestly, this kind of sudden shift sounds like it could be from a brain tumour or mental health issue. It also could be that she was feeling stressed in some way and has had some kind of breakdown under all of the stress. Opie replies, "There's a few friends of hers I can contact, so I definitely will. Thank you. I still care about her deeply and want nothing but the best for her, but this just isn't something that I could move past." Any possibility that Emma told Sarah that she was having an affair with you? Sarah's behaviour is just too odd to come out of nowhere. Opie says, "From what Sarah did say last night, and from what she's messaged me since, it was members of her family that told her. Her family has never been close to or met mine. I only met them briefly. They've declined every invitation to get together. From what I know, they haven't gotten to know any of Sarah's exes or their families. My best guess is that the concept is extremely foreign to them, so something had to be amiss in their eyes, or maybe they didn't like me. Sarah loves her family though. The fact this news came from them is probably why she believed it, without any second thought." "How is your poor mother holding up after all of this, OP?" Opie replies, "My mother is one tough lady, and she's handling it well considering, but I haven't seen her this upset in a really long time. She was excited about our wedding. She thought Sarah was the greatest girl I've ever brought home. She considered her a daughter and a friend, which is what hurts her the most, I think. She's definitely getting there though. She even started cracking jokes that I just shouldn't date anymore and buy a dog instead. Honestly, after something like that, I don't blame her for making that suggestion. What are your thoughts about this one? Maybe you got a similar story you'd like to share. I hope not, for your sake. Anyway, let's go to another story. Okay, jumping over to Am I the A-hole? This one was written by user Puzzle-Headed Idea, and it's titled, Am I the a-hole for telling my husband I hate his most beloved hobby? I am sick of hearing about the NFL draft. For years, my husband was a casual fan, and I've been a pretty good sport about football season dominating our Sundays. However, this has changed drastically since COVID. 3 years ago, he started watching this Brett Coleman guy, and he became obsessed with the draft. He hadn't talked this much about college football since he graduated years ago. He has this giant dry erase board in our bedroom that he calls his big board. It's ridiculous. At first I was supportive and I let him rant and explain what the draft was all about, but I'm so sick of hearing about it. He raves about PFF like they're the great gospel, but good grief. He's always in his man cave evaluating players like he's an owner of a team. It feels like fantasy football year round, and it has absolutely wrecked our relationship as he spends hours watching football plays and people talk about football plays. He can't even stop talking about it when we're in a public restaurant. He's constantly quizzing waiters and waitresses about their football knowledge, and it's embarrassing. Heaven forbid he sees someone at our local park with a football shirt or hat. He becomes insufferable. We went to my niece's spring soccer game and he went off with the other dads to talk about football. My goodness. This bloke really loves his football, doesn't he? Let's go to the comments. Why do people immediately ask if someone's autistic when someone describes behaviour that is rude and annoying? Obviously, this is new behaviour since the pandemic for Opie's boyfriend, and autism doesn't just spring up like that. Anywho, my husband used to be a pro wrestler. No one anyone would know, he was a jobber. He absolutely loves it, watches it religiously 3 times a week, more if there's a pay-per-view, and now with all these WWE biography and rival shows, it's nearly non-stop. So I totally understand how you feel. You just need to set boundaries. Like with mine, I was like, okay, we can watch Raw and SmackDown, but not AEW, and I'm absolutely not interested in the biographies and pay-per-views, so watch them on your own time. And I try to be kind when he wants to talk about stupid-ass fake WWE storylines for an hour, but I'll eventually be like, okay, that's enough. Let's talk about something else. Just tell him it's not acceptable to try to make you, and restaurant servers, talk about one subject only, and he needs to chill because he's boring. My husband hates the cartoons I love, so for 2 weeks solid, I make him watch Family Guy reruns every night, and he lost his mind. I was like this is exactly how I feel about wrestling. It's mind-numbingly boring for me. I put up with it because I love you, but there's a line. Geez, Family Guy reruns would fry anyone's brain. Opie answers some more comments. Not the a-hole. It's okay to have something you're passionate about, but if it's obsessive to a point where there's nothing else you can talk about, that's a problem. It sounds like he's obsessing over football and impacting nearly all his relationships. God, even wait staff aren't exempt? Does he just randomly start talking about it? Why does he feel the need to quiz people? Opie replies, Thank you. Something you said has sat with me today. In fact, after reflecting, I suppose really the only relationship that has suffered due to this whole thing is me. My father loves it. My brother loves talking to him. He's a sweet man, which is why I married him in the first place. I guess maybe I might be overreacting due to the fact that it's draft season. The draft is Thursday and I'm going to try to watch it with him. And in a shocking twist, Brett Coleman shows up in the comments. Hi, I'm actually Brett Coleman. This is my real Reddit account. Please tell your husband that I say hi, and also I'm sorry for ruining your marriage. But seriously though, please tell him I said hi and that I appreciate him. Opie replies, Hello Brett, if this really is you, it's a pleasure to meet you. Your community has been very kind to my husband, and I'm grateful for you giving my husband this joy. He doesn't have Reddit, but he was ecstatic to hear that you reached out. I'm going to need to make a few of your world-famous beverages this Thursday to Saturday, but no divorces on the table right now. Brett replies, You guys sound like a lovely couple. Let him know if he's ever near LA to hit me up, and we'll go grab a beer and talk football to give you a night off, haha. Or if he's near KC this week, I'll be there for the draft. Opie replies, Well, thank you, that's a very kind gesture. We're going to watch the first round together, so we'll see how that goes. I did not expect the man himself to pop up in the comments there. Nice of him to offer to have a beer with him and talk about football though. Okay, on to an update. My husband and I have had some good conversations and he's willing to compromise with me. I do think I may have overreacted slightly. I'm going to get him some recording equipment for his birthday so he can start a YouTube channel, which we both agree would be a good outlet. Thank you to everyone for your comments. We'll see how this goes after the draft is over Saturday. Okay folks, and that's the end of that one. Pretty feel good in the end there. Yeah, maybe Opie overreacted a little bit, but I think a whiteboard in the bedroom is probably a little bit too far for most people, including myself. I broke up with my fiancé because of his family. I don't think I can marry him because of his family. I know people will say that I'm crazy, but my gut tells me I'm right. This was supposed to be the first time I'm meeting his parents. He has 2 sisters, a mum and dad. I was excited to meet my future in-laws, but it shattered. A few days ago, I met his family. Some things about them just didn't sit right with me. His mum is very possessive about him. Like the first thing she said when she saw me was, "So you are the lady that keeps my son busy." I know it sounds like a joke, but she said it in a condescending tone. Throughout the entire gathering, she was trying to avoid me. She would get irritated whenever I got closer to my fiancé. She made one very mean comment when I asked her for a piece of pie she made. She said I'll not be able to fit in my dress if I eat any more of it. She deliberately made me sit far away from him so that she could sit beside him. I knew that she didn't like me, but I tolerated that. But she was way too harsh on her oldest daughter. She keeps making comments like, "When are you getting married?" and if she still can't get over Ben, her brother-in-law. The thing is, Mia, the oldest daughter, used to date Ben until he dumped her to be with the younger sister, Jen. Jen isn't very nice either. She was mean to Mia and kept bugging her to get a husband. Mia is 33. I don't think she needs to rush. Jen also didn't like me because she made some snide remarks about my upbringing. I grew up in an abusive household. I had to struggle a lot, whereas my fiancé came from a well-to-do family. His dad didn't speak much. He didn't say anything and just nodded. The only normal person there was Mia because she just kept to herself. But nonetheless, I did not feel very welcomed by them. I just had this gut feeling that if I get married, this will be my whole life. I would always have to be in competition with his mother. But he is so nice and sweet. I never felt so in love with anyone like I did with him. He brings me flowers, he takes care of me, he treats me like a queen. But I do not like his family at all. I broke it off with him. He was understandably sad. He asked for a reason. I just told him I didn't feel good about our relationship, that we are not compatible. There were tears, but I left. Now I'm sitting in my aunt's house writing this. One moment I felt like calling him and telling him I had cold feet. We are perfect together. We earn well, we have similar hobbies, and we are sexually compatible, but this one thing about him just bugs me a lot. I am heartbroken. I know I don't deserve to be because I was the one who called it off. Honestly, the craziest part about this is the fact that you're engaged and you haven't even met his family yet. I don't know about you guys, but for me, family compatibility is a pretty big thing that you got to tick off if you're going to get married to someone. It's almost one of the first things that you make sure is all good before you get into a long-term relationship, at least for me anyway. What about you guys? Anyway, let's go to some comments. You should have told him the real reason. You should tell him. I don't think it'll change anything, but after 2 years and an engagement, I think it's justified. I think the concerning thing about this whole situation is that he said his mum is like this with everyone, pokes holes. He sees the way his sister Mia is treated, knows the situation with the cheating, still sees his mum treat his sister horribly, and dad sits off to the side. He's used to the abuse, and as long as it's directed at someone else, he's content. I know after reading so many posts about toxic in-laws, I'm flabbergasted by how individuals that are on the toxic side can't come to terms with how wrong it is sooner. After so long, and folks being around other families and living a grown-up life, can't accept what's in front of them when a partner's being treated like crap. You should really tell him the real reason. Even if you don't end up getting married, he at least can take the lesson that he has to set clear boundaries with his parents and mean girl sister if he ever wants to bring another woman to their home without them breaking up with him afterwards. Maybe he's just so used to his mum and sister being mean, he doesn't even realise what a deal breaker they are. Opie replies, I think his mum treating Mia like trash was the last straw for me. Like she got cheated on by her boyfriend and sister, yet she still showed up to the family gathering only for her to be harassed. I feel bad for her. Yeah, that's horrible. Let's go to the first update. I just talked to his sister Mia on the phone. It was a surprise to me that she wanted to talk. She got the news of us breaking up and asked if we could talk on the phone. I agreed. I was desperate to hear any news from him. We talked for like an hour or so. It was mostly her telling me how her family was toxic, that I made the right decision because her mum had a weird obsession with her baby boy. Also, she doesn't know why she is the black sheep of her family. She was not adopted, nor was she an affair child. She also mentioned her mother was a bit of a racist because of where I came from. Overall, that day, she wanted to warn me. I asked why my ex doesn't treat her right. She said my ex is in delusion, that they have a picture-perfect home, but he doesn't realize how toxic his mother is. She did bring it up with him, and he just said that they're family. So families shouldn't hold grudges. Honestly, I felt bad for her. She also said she'll be going no contact with her family. She thought she could salvage their relationship and let them be a part of her life, but she decided she doesn't want that. She also shared some personal information about her relationship status and future. But I do not want to share that. It's not my place to share it. But she told me to meet him and tell him the truth. He deserves to know why I don't want to be a part of his family. He needs to hear the truth. I'll be meeting him tomorrow. And yeah, as a lot of you guys requested, I'll give an update to you guys. That's interesting. A bit like that story the other week where the African-American girl met the parents of her boyfriend, and it turns out all along that they were just like horribly racist. I have a feeling something like that's going on here. At least it seems like Opie's alluding to that. Let's go to the second update. Hello guys, I promised I'll come back with an update. I did it. I finally talked to him. I told him everything that I mentioned in the post, and also about my feelings for his family, especially how they treated Mia. Needless to say, he was upset. He tried to convince me this is all in my head, that I shouldn't throw away our relationship because of his family. His family will accept me if I become a part of it. I tried to explain things from my own perspective, but he wasn't budging. Then the topic of Mia came up. He said it's unfair that even his sister is abandoning the family. He mentioned Mia's big news, and she said she doesn't want to be a part of their family. I told him I knew about it because I talked to Mia, and that seemed to upset him even more. He is ticked that Mia shared her news to me before his family. I got angry and told him this is exactly why I don't want to be a part of his family. Her mother has made racist comments to me. I'm half Bengali. His mother treated me like an outsider and didn't make me feel welcome. His family is very toxic. I grew up in a toxic family. I don't want to die in one. Maybe someday he'll find a woman his mother approves of, but that woman is not me. We had a big fight. He was obviously defending his family. He was not willing to listen to what I had to say. Overall, he was very dismissive. We ended our conversation on a very bad note. I am sad about it. Aside from his family drama, he was a good guy, but I don't think I can handle his family, because you don't just marry one person, you marry their entire family. They didn't even bother to know me at all. So that's the update. Again, how do you get to the point where you're engaged and you haven't even met the family, let alone have a decent understanding of them? I mean, this post just goes to show how important that is. Anyway, what are your thoughts about this one? Let me know in the comments. Okay, let's jump to the next story. Okay, this one was written by Jenna GL, and it's titled, I, female 17, found out that my mother is cheating on my father. My mum and dad are both 42 years old and married for 20 years. Well, my notebook broke and I had to do some research for school, so I asked my mum to use hers. She gave it to me and I went to do the research. While I was on the internet, a message appeared and I could read the phrase, "Hi love." I opened it thinking it was my father's, and what I read made me sick. The message is from one of my father's friends. The guy is married and I study with his daughter, so I looked at the history and it has messages from at least 1 year ago, besides photos and videos. It was the most horrible thing I've ever seen in my life. My father takes my mother on dates, treats her very well, helps with chores and everything. I don't understand how she has the courage to do that with him. Well, he is travelling and will only come back tomorrow. I copied everything, email, messages, phones and videos, and saved it to show him. I'm trying to hide my feelings on it, but I can't look at her without feeling disgust. What I want to know is, how do I do this? I show it to them both at the same time? Do I show him first and let him solve it? And my friend, Her father is cheating too. Do I say something? Thanks. Oh man, that genuinely is really tricky. I don't envy OP in this situation. Let's go to the comments. I'm very sorry for how people are responding to you here. In spite of trying to front as thoughtful, they seem callous and insensitive to your pain as a child. As someone whose father cheated on her mother multiple times, I understand how heartbroken and enraged you are right now. I'm so sorry that you found out this way. When I found out about my father, I confronted him directly. My parents are still together. They forgave each other, one for neglecting the other for betraying the first. I wanted to hear his reasons, straight from him. I didn't exactly forgive him, and I still resent him, but listening to him talk about his vulnerabilities and sadness, it strangely softened his image in my eyes. It made him human, full of flaws, all of a sudden. Right now, I think you're experiencing a realization you weren't ready for, that your mother isn't perfect. I think you should talk to your mum directly first. Confront her if you wish. Listen to what she says. Infidelity hurts people tremendously, including the person doing it. As a daughter, you may not know what's going on between your parents that led to this development in the first place. Demand answers, as is your right as a child. Give her a timeline to bring this to your father's attention. Let her bring it up in front of you. If you do it, there's a possibility that this will go out of control. You need to be aware that this will most likely result in a divorce. Based on what you've written, I'm assuming your father is not a physically abusive man. Still, be careful about his reaction. He'll be naturally heartbroken, livid, and lost for a bit. My empathy is with him. Be prepared for the fallout. Just know that you have incredibly sensitive information, and you can make the best of this situation or the worst of it, depending on how you approach it. If you want to directly talk to me, my inbox is open. Take a moment, take a deep breath. Everything will be more than fine. I'm so sorry your mum let you find out. It's totally unfair of her to put you in the middle of this. Please don't do anything yet. First, find an adult you trust to talk it through with. A counselor, teacher, someone like that. Probably not a relative or anyone else involved with your family. This is going to be a very hard time for you for a while. Just know that no matter how hard it is, it will get better sooner or later. And I'm sorry that some people here see fit to lecture or argue with you instead of giving you the support any young person put in this terrible situation would need. This site doesn't look like the best place to get much mature help, does it? Here's the thing, you really don't know the status of that relationship nor the reasons for the affair. Every affair tells a story, and although it is true that the story has something to do with the state of a relationship where betrayal takes place, the psychology of infidelity is actually quite complex, much more than the current moralistic conversation about it where people are good, bad, or flawed, therefore dismissed as damaged goods. Pundits and gurus abound offering their take on "can I ever trust him again?" or "how to affair-proof your relationship," but too often good-intentioned advice misses the real issue. Most people just assume cheating is about one thing and one thing only: sex. Clearly that's not the case, and if we've got that wrong, what other so-called facts about cheating are actually false? Your father may be great with your mum, perfect, and that there might be the problem. I don't know. Yet none of this matters. What does is that you need to come to terms with what you're going to do. There is no right decision here, only what is right for you. You can't control either parent, only your own instincts. How much more grievous are the consequences of anger than the causes of it? One commenter says, "Stay out of your parents' marriage, this is none of your business." Opie replies, "When something affects me it is my problem, and I'll tell him, no matter what you say." Another comment says, "You're a product of your mum and dad's marriage. You don't know the full story. If you want an explanation, ask her. If you want to throw gasoline on a fire, talk to your dad." Opie replies, "Explanation for what? How she stuck the knife in my father's back for a year? For the horrible things she said? No thank you." Yeah, well said. Let's go to an update. Well, first I would like to thank everyone for the comments. Soon after I created the post, I got in touch with my older brother, 24, and I told him everything. He was also shocked by all of this and said to keep calm and that he would come to me. He lives in another city. He arrived in the afternoon and I showed him everything, but he was unable to even see half. He made a copy to keep safe and stayed at a friend's house so my mum didn't suspect anything. The other day my dad came home from a trip and my brother and I took this opportunity while my mum was working to tell him. I said that I'd found something in my mum's notebook and that I thought he didn't know, and so I showed him. He started reading everything, and after about 5 minutes, he started to feel sick and vomited. My brother is in medical school, so he managed to calm my father, but he was in shock. We stayed there for an hour and started talking again. I asked him if he knew this or if they had some kind of agreement, and he said no. I already imagined it. I asked him if it was right to show him this, since this was none of my business, and he said yes, that I'm part of the family and I did the right thing. I asked him if I should tell my friend's mother, but he decided to call her and ask her to come here. She came with my friend, and my father told her everything. She cried so much. She said she had a suspicion that he was cheating, but did not know who he was with. She asked me how I found out, so I gave them their IDs, emails and nicknames, and she went home to look. Later she came back and it was the same thing. Started about 1 year ago, only that my mother was not the only one. He has one more woman, but nobody knows her. He told my mother that she was the only woman for him, ha ha. I asked my friend for forgiveness for not telling her, but she said that I had nothing to forgive, that she understands why I did it. The night my mother arrived, she was scared to see my brother at home. My father asked her, and initially she denied everything, but when he insisted, she started crying and told the truth. My mother kept crying, saying that it shouldn't have happened. My dad asked why, and she kept saying it wasn't supposed to be like this, that she didn't want to hurt him, and that my father was the only man for her, but she ended up letting herself be carried away by emotion, that the other guy meant nothing, and that she eventually would stop and tell the truth. Yeah, right. She was begging him not to make any hasty decisions, and that she'll do whatever it takes to show that he is the only man for her. During all this, he didn't say a word. At the end, he took a suitcase, asked if we were going to stay. I said I would go with him, so the three of us went to my uncle's house, who lives nearby. He cried all night. I told my brother that I wouldn't live with her, even if my dad comes back, so he said I could live with him. This morning she called me to talk. I didn't want to go, but my brother insisted. She said it was never the intention to hurt my father, that she'll do everything to be a better wife and mother. She asked how my father found out, and I said that I told him. She asked me how, but I didn't tell her. I said that I hope one day I can forgive her, but not now. I said I don't want her on my birthday or even my graduation party. She started crying again, so I left. Some of you say that I see the world in a way that doesn't exist, that not everything is perfect, that I didn't know what my parents' relationship was like, and maybe you're right, that I'm just a naive girl who doesn't know how the world works. No matter what you do, you will always end up hurting yourself with a person who does not respect you, and that I'm stupid to think that there'll be a person who will like me and will never hurt me, who will grow old together and die with the same love that we had when we met. I agree that I'm stupid to think like that, but after yesterday I also realized something, the damage that betrayal does, and I prefer to die alone than to do something like that with someone. But who am I to understand, right? I will not answer anyone because I already discussed it a lot in the other post, so I'll try to answer some that I think they would ask. Do I regret it? No. Will my father try to reconcile? I don't know, but I don't think so. He already talked to a lawyer about divorce. Here, betrayal counts in favour of my father in divorce. Why didn't I talk to my mum first? Well, it didn't make sense to do that. First, she had a year to tell the truth. What difference would it make for me to tell her first, so she can confess? Again, what would be useful? It would be a forced, meaningless confession. Sometimes people have to take a slap of reality to wake up for life. Have I always been angry with my mum? No. Until last Thursday, our relationship was perfect. How do I feel about destroying 2 families? Well, nothing, because I didn't destroy anything. They did it when they wanted to betray. But what if he is abusive or the best, quote, does not meet her needs? It doesn't matter. If he is abusive, you divorce him. But what about her needs? Okay, but what about his? By that logic, if she is looking for another one, it means that his needs are also not being suppressed and he did not betray. And a thank you and a kiss to the 2 people who sent me, quote, I hope you die and I hope your mother kills you. It was a great help. Thank you. Few more comments. I'm sad that you chose to create a huge conflict in your family. When you grow up, you'll learn that monogamy is a myth, not an enjoyable way of life. Shame on you for being such a shameless Dumbo. Karma is a bee. One day when you're stuck in a dead-end marriage and one of your children outs you for being an adulterer, you'll remember everything we were trying to tell you. You should have minded your own business. There is no wrongdoing in your part. I'm amazed by your courage and perseverance. I hope your folks do the right thing and divorce. It's fun when you're not being caught, but being caught takes the crap to the fan and everybody gets hurt. You have been inoculated against cheating. Make sure your future partner is a good man. Good luck. Well, some very conflicting comments on this side of Reddit. Some, rightfully I think, defending OP and saying that she didn't do the wrong thing, and some flat out defending the cheating that's going on here. Weird. Okay, OP posted a couple more updates. The divorce is still in process. With COVID-19, everything stopped, but he wants a divorce. She's still trying to convince him, saying that she'll do anything, but honestly, at least for me, they're empty words of a desperate person. Another comment separately, OP says, I discovered too that my mother was cheating on my father. I know how you feel, and honestly I don't treat her bad, but I simply don't want a relationship with her anymore. And one final update. Divorce. It's already final. And how's your mum? A mess. Am I the a-hole for stealing back a baby shower gift? This is all still fresh, and now I guess I'm having second thoughts. My 26 female, friend 26 female, and I have known each other since nursery. When she got dumped for the first time, I was the one she called. When her father passed away, I helped her with the legal side of the funeral. When an ex stole from her, I took her to the police station and convinced my parents to let her stay with us until a new door was installed. He kicked it in. I was also the one that turned up on her door at 2 a.m. when she spontaneously miscarried in her toilet late term, despite the lockdowns. I helped her clean up the aftermath. Her then boyfriend, now husband, was abroad and couldn't come home immediately due to COVID restrictions. I also stayed with her after she was released from hospital until he arrived. We were always so close, or so I thought. After COVID, she started a new job and hung out with a crowd that I don't have anything in common with. They are more of a going out and drinking and less going out and bouldering type. So I met her every other weekend, which then turned into every third weekend, and in the end it became a once-a-month thing. I didn't mind. People grow and get new interests, but she always said that I would be her best friend no matter who else entered her life, so naturally I was maid of honor at her wedding. Shocked doesn't cover it when I found out she was pregnant and I was the last to know. She told me at the 5-month mark, and only because I asked her due to weight gain. However, I thought the trauma and the fact that I was there last time made her have some negative feelings about telling me, so I put it behind me. I called a few of her new friends when she was 7 months to arrange a baby shower for her, as she had over the years shared exactly what she had envisioned for it. A number of them replied and said she didn't want a baby shower and that people were going to drop off gifts at her place on Thursday evening, this week gone. She's 8 months. I phoned her and asked if she really didn't want a baby shower, and she confirmed as much. She told me to just drop off the gifts. She asked me if I was still good for paying for the crib and accessories for it, as we had agreed upon her first pregnancy. I said yes. Thursday I dropped off the crib and other stuff, but her mother answered, telling me not to contact her before next week as she wasn't going to be in. I found it odd, as at this point she is in her 8th month and should be resting. Some friends texted me what I was doing Friday evening. Some of them I hadn't been in touch with for a while. On a hunch I went to her place on Friday evening under the guise of giving her a small gift I'd forgotten to give her. Her front door was decorated and there was music playing at her house. I had to bang on the door before someone finally came and opened it. It was her mother again, and she looked bothered by my presence. She asked me what I was doing there and told me my friend was out. I pushed past her and found her sitting in her living room, surrounded by her new friend groups and some of our mutual friends too. I turned to her mother who had followed me and said she is here, to which this dumb bee replied, "Oh, she must have just popped back in." Like, WTF? So I left. Yesterday I went by her house and she allowed me in and tried to explain that the baby shower was not really my scene, and she tried to spare me from coming to it. It was all for my own good. I didn't buy it and kept pushing her, and in the end she confessed that her new friends weren't very fond of me and they didn't want me to be there. I told her to F off and told her that I hoped she would lose this baby too, and then get her new friends to clean up after her and her dead baby, packed the crib and other stuff into my car, and drove off. She's been texting me about it since yesterday. A few of our mutual friends that were present at the baby shower have phoned me too, but I didn't answer their calls. My brothers found it funny, but my parents told me I was being a petty a-hole for taking back the gift, as in our culture and religion, you never take back gifts, even if you no longer want to be friends with that person. My mother even went as far as saying that I shamed myself by my behaviour, as she has now most likely told all of our friend group. If I am indeed the a-hole, I will go back with the gift and apologise. Throwaway, as I use my main for work networking. Yeah, maybe the stuff about wishing that her baby dies again is a bit harsh, but she's clearly not your friend anymore. I think she's made that pretty clear, and you shouldn't be inclined to give someone a gift who's not your friend. I don't know, let's go to the comments. I have a feeling your alleged friend was smack-talking you to her new friends, saying you hope her baby dies is terrible. Apologise or not. Just stop communicating with her and be honest with your mutual friends. I highly recommend you have zero contact in the future with your false friend. You weren't the a-hole until you said you hoped she lost the baby. Then you moved into everyone sucks here territory. It sucks when friends let you down, but wishing that on someone is never okay. Everyone sucks here for your comment about the baby dying. That's pretty bad. I'd probably forget the friendship after that comment. Miscarriage is traumatic and you went to a no-go zone. She's the a-hole for being a user and not just saying she outgrew your friendship. I'd not return the gift and just move out from your old friend group. Try to make some new friends because they all duped you. Everyone sucks here. She was clearly hiding the party from you without being an adult and discussing. She sucked for lying and not being mature. You sucked when you told her you hoped she lost the baby. But I would take back the gift if I were you. She was clearly only wanting that from you, and that tells a lot. Are you still good to grab the crib for me? She knew you'd pay, and she knew she didn't have to invite you, and it still worked out to her benefit. One commenter asks about how Opie's friendship is currently with the said friend, and it was time for Opie to have her other friends. Opie says, I have other friends. I've known her the longest, and to me she always felt like a sister, and she said the same. I don't know why she changed. I didn't mind her growing apart, as I mentioned as much in the OP. I felt negative feelings for her not being straight up about the party. Her first miscarriage was traumatic for her, but it was also a traumatic experience I went through for her. She lost the baby in the toilet. I drove her to the hospital, then had to go back to retrieve her dead baby from the toilet bowl as the hospital wanted to test it due to it being so late term. Later on I realised the hospital should have sent an ambulance instead of me doing all of this. I had to hand it over to the nurse because she couldn't look at her unborn son. I was also the one filing a complaint to pals about this, as she said she had no energy to do it. Even her husband, then boyfriend, and her mother wouldn't do it as they couldn't deal with the legal paperwork. After all that and many other things I did for her, she couldn't be honest and say that she didn't want me at a party? Why lie? Another comment says, she's a horrible friend to treat you like that after you've done so much for her that even her partner, mother and herself was not ready to do. Has she ever done anything for you, or has she just been a user? Opie replies, come to think of it, besides helping me with a few driving lessons, which her brother volunteered and I declined after a handful of them because the vibe was off, later learned that he had a crush on me and I turned him down a few years later when he asked, neither her or her family have done out of the ordinary stuff for me. Okay, onto an update. A number of people wanted an update on my situation and I can't get back to that many individually. I contacted two of the mutual friends who were invited and had a long talk with them, as they left voice and chat messages for me wanting to talk. I got good advice from Redditors and it seems like some of you caught something I was being naive to. I was being used. These two mutual friends confirmed as much. The reason the mutual friends had contacted me wondering about my plans was for me to catch on that something was happening without directly telling me, because then they would have to break their word to her. They admitted it was a childish way to go about it instead of talking to me directly. Her new group of friends held it against me that she'd cancelled plans to go out with them at the last minute to hang out with me when their friendship was new. After the first few times, she always chose them over me as they have more in common. They also seem to be rather immature, according to our mutual friends, but they hang out with them as they are okay to be around if you want to have a good time. She is more of a party girl than me, and our mutual friends said she wanted me to stick around so she could call in favours. She had confessed as much to them, calling me the reliable homely aunt for her soon-to-be-born baby. She even said that once the baby was older, she could leave this or other babies with me while she'd had more time to travel, have her time, and enjoy date nights. Not wanting to believe them blindly, I did phone her to apologise, but she was more concerned about the crib and other gifts than wanting to mutually apologise for her behaviour. She said she was hurt and would only forgive me if I pre-agreed to babysit for her once she was able to have fun. I asked her why she wouldn't rely on her new friend group for that since she clearly preferred them. She said, "Silly, they are not the reliable motherly types." She told me if I didn't agree then she'd be very cross with me. That ticked me off as it felt like she was scolding me like a child. I hung up. I did ask her about her mother in the beginning of the conversation, wondering why I was being treated that way when I helped her during her husband's, my friend's father's, funeral. She said that her mother was hurt by my rejection of her brother, and she agreed that I could do no better than her brother. She said she was hurt that I didn't want to be her friend-in-law. She was hoping that I would be closer to her family if I married into her family, but instead I turned him down, and he still held a flame for me. She said we are both outdoor types, so she felt insulted that I turned him down, because that meant I thought he was ugly. She has since left me a few messages wondering when I'll come back with the crib, but I blocked her last night. I guess that's it. I have booked an appointment with a therapist to figure out who I am, as after some self-reflection I seem to get drawn to people who abuse my kindness, and I take it on the chin. I've also cut off contact with other mutual friends that did attend and never contacted me. The two that did, I might cut off too, but I have to think it through to see if it would be beneficial for me long term. I need to start thinking of myself and my future. To think I dumped a decent guy a few years back because she put crappy ideas about him in my head, and was very needy during that time, so I had very little time for developing my own relationships. My mother apologized, and she says that despite feeling bad about what people might say, she understood it hurt me to not be supported by her. My older brother says not to be too hard on her due to our culture, but to not let others walk all over me, as he says I have people-pleasing tendencies. He said I should have put my foot down with my friend years ago, and that he tried to hint as much, but I was not ready to hear it. The crib and some clothes have already been given away, although I still have some of the newborn stuff. One of our mutual friends that did go to the party suggested I donate it to the hospital, as there are probably new mothers who would appreciate the help. For all of you who kept having a go at me for my words, I didn't actually want her baby dead. It came out all wrong due to my emotional state. Maybe you do have the moral high ground and always watch what you say, but I doubt it. Take care all. God, honestly, the really crazy part about this is the fact that the ex-best friend and her mum tried to, ship her with her brother. I mean, that's just crazy. Also, there's more to a relationship than just liking the same thing. I don't know what that girl was talking about. Sounds like a pretty quick-fire way to ruin a friendship. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments. Okay, let's jump to another story. Okay, jumping over to the relationship subreddit, this one was written by user RoachCoach, and it's titled, "One of my employees had to take 2 days off of work because his father died. A week later, his dad walks into the store. Now I'm catching him in dozens of other lies." So I don't really know how to deal with this. I'm a manager at a shop that's 420 friendly for employees. As long as it doesn't affect your work, we're all a big stoner family. We know who's capable of working high and who isn't. One of my employees is becoming a bit of a chronic liar. He's a bit of a performer, always doing impressions and generally being a pretty funny guy, but he's a bit of a slacker. I'll call him Scooby. One day, Scooby comes in uncharacteristically quiet, just looking sad and depressed. He was working slower than usual and not really responding to anybody, in the middle of an otherwise busy kitchen. So he gets pulled outside and tells the owner of the store that his dad just died, and he was reeling from it. He told him not to tell anybody because he's not the kind of person to spread his emotional baggage around. The owner and I gave him a hug, told him to go home and take as long as he needs. He comes back a couple of days later and everything seems all right. A few days later, a man walks into the store and asks to see Scooby. "I was wondering if I could see Scooby. That's my son." "You're his dad." "Yeah, we look alike, don't we?" He did. They looked exactly alike. So now we're faced with the situation of this kid being a little liar. I pulled my boss, the owner, aside and asked him what to do. He told me that we're extremely short-handed right now and letting him go would be counterproductive because we're in the middle of training 3 people, and letting him go would force the more capable people to work 50 plus hours a week. There's basically 2 to 3 of us plus the owners. He told me not to say anything to Scooby and that he and his wife would take care of it. A few weeks have passed now and I no longer believe a word out of this kid's mouth. Apparently the owners have talked to him about his lying, but since then it hasn't really stopped. He's taken off of work from vomiting all the time. At one point he took 3 Fridays and 2 Saturdays off in a row because of all the vomiting and various digestion issues. He said he went to a doctor and his doctor told him he was allergic to eggs, so he stopped eating eggs and then he was okay. Meanwhile, I'll occasionally catch him eating a pre-packaged egg sandwich we bring for the employees for their lunch breaks. One time he came in all sad and depressed again because his girlfriend broke up with him and his productivity slowed down to a crawl. We told him to keep his personal drama at the door and sent him home. That night, I see he and his girlfriend publicly snuggling all over my Facebook feed. I don't know what to do. I can't look this frickin' kid in the eye anymore, and my boss won't fire him. Do I just deal with it and keep letting this little crap look me in the face and lie to me every time he wants to take off of work? Yeah, it seems weird that the owners don't really want to fire him, or aren't at least actively looking for other employees. You'd think you'd be able to find someone relatively quickly, particularly in this day and age, but I guess you can't really know. Maybe it's time to confront him head on about it. Not sure. Let's go to the comments. I'd kill him with kindness while outing him. Mention his father's death on his Facebook. Maybe comment on a girlfriend snuggling photo, something like, "Oh wow, it must suck so much for you guys to have broken up so soon after your father passed. I'm so sorry. Please let me know if there's anything you need." Constantly reach out via phone or Facebook, public and private, every time he gives an excuse as to why he can't work. "Hey bud, I heard you're puking your guts out tonight. Can I bring you anything when I close up the shop?" If he's posted a picture of him eating something with eggs, say something like, "Oh wow, where did you get egg-free cupcakes? Were they any good? My little cousin is allergic to eggs and my aunt would love to know where to get those for her." Just pile it on. He's going to either have to confess his lies publicly or stop lying, or he'll quit. What's he going to say to the boss to get you in trouble? "Opie posted on my Facebook about bringing me food when I was lying about being sick. Make him stop." Not only are you laying on the guilt, you're making it really hard for him to save face with his friends and family. Lying about his father passing is really, really low, and if a friend or family member catches him doing that just to get out of work, he's in for it, and he knows it. He's going to have a lot of uncomfortable conversations, and it's going to be awesome. Opie answers some comments. I'm talking to the owners about the matter. That's the thing, they already know about it all. It's impossible to lie to me, especially if I've already caught you in a lie. Then when you talk to me, my default position is that you're lying, and I'll go back in and logically catch people in lies. The kid's a terrible liar already, and when he talks to me, he's talking to the goddamn gatekeeper of truth. Not to toot my own horn or anything, lol. But the only way it's affecting my work is that I would occasionally have to cover for him. But I told them that if this continues, they would have to cover for him, because I'm tired of working 6-day weeks and having to come in on 3 AM on my day off to open the store because this dude's family are dropping like flies. I just don't know what to do as his boss. When asked if there is an environment of fear and disapproval for asking for time off. Yes, that's what I figured the crux of the issue was at first, but he needs to grow balls and ask for the time off if he really needs it. Unfortunately, he's asking for time off because he just doesn't want to work, and that's what seriously pisses me off about all of this. Just to rant a bit, I invited that frickin' kid into my house to smoke some of my weed, telling him how sorry I was for his loss. I genuinely empathized with him, and then his dad frickin' walks into the store, and he kept the lie up. He told everybody a different story. He told the bosses and I that actually wasn't his father, but his uncle, who he calls his father sometimes. It was bullcrap, and he admits it by shutting up when called out on it, followed by nothing at all. We call him out and he falls silent. Then he lies again the next day and the same crap happens. We embarrass him all the time about his constant lying, and I just don't understand why he keeps doing it. It must be some sort of psychological issue. When asked if the kid can just be replaced, Opie says, "We're trying our best to train these new kids, but there's so little time. We've resorted to having people come in at 3 AM to dress donuts in a closed store for 3 hours until it opens, but it's really hard finding people with an availability of 3 AM to whenever the frick." Yeah, I mean, I've known a couple of pathological liars growing up, and honestly, this guy ticks all the boxes. Let's go to an update. So, it's been about 2 months since I last posted about this incident. A lot of really crazy things have happened, so I'll jump right in. After everything happened with the last post, everybody simply put the dead dad incident in the back of their minds. They were ticked for a while, but they eventually let it go. I was the last one to let it go, but I eventually did. In retrospect, I shouldn't have, because he never once owned up to the lie. He just acted like none of it ever happened. He tried to come up with lies to get out of working holiday shifts he was scheduled for Christmas and New Year's, but nobody believed him. And he was told that if he didn't show up to these shifts, that he'd be fired. He showed up to the Christmas shift, but he overslept through the New Year's shift. Nobody cared because we ended up not needing him for the shift anyway. And one of the new guys ended up covering for him on call. Everybody was ticked at him again, and he's been on thin ice ever since. Then crap hit the fan in the past few days. A couple of days ago, his apparently psycho girlfriend caught him hanging out in a car with one of our mutual co-workers. She had an absolute breakdown and started pounding on her window. Scooby hops out of the car to calm her down, and the co-worker, Sky, drives off. The psycho girlfriend gets in her car and keeps trying to cut Sky off in traffic. At least, that's the story I heard from my boss. She eventually lets up, and Sky manages to get home safe, and texted Scooby basically cussing him out. Later that night, I made a quick stop by the store owner's house to pick up something for the store, and they tell me that Scooby called them and told them that he wouldn't be able to work for the next few days because he got into a big fight with his girlfriend and she slashed his tyres. The next morning, I show up for my shift and Scooby calls the store. His speech is all slow, mumbled, and he's slurring his words. I immediately think he's strung out on something. He brags about doing acid and other hardish drugs. He tells me this story about how the night before, after his girlfriend slashed his tyres, she calmed down and they were walking around where they live, in some warehouse district somewhere apparently, looking for a store to grab money so they can call a tow truck to come get his car. While walking, he and his girlfriend got mugged. He's fine, but they beat her up pretty badly and took all their money. Because of this, he wouldn't be able to work for the next few days, which is Valentine's Day, our busiest day of the year by far. Nobody even wanted to speak to him at that point, so it all came down to this morning. The owner comes in, and I asked her if anybody has spoken to Scooby. Basically, she pulled a string, and his entire wall of lies came crumbling down. I can't make this crap up. So, yesterday afternoon, Scooby frickin' calls the store with a disguised voice and asks for one of our co-workers, Ashley, who you can read all about here. We have a really dysfunctional family. He asks for her and tells her to meet him at the back of the store with his paycheck that was left for him at the cash register. He did this so that he could avoid having to talk to the owner. Well, she caught wind of it and showed up out back of the store with his paycheck, but he noticed and literally ran away. He shows up about half an hour later with fresh scratches on his neck, because apparently when you get mugged by a group of guys, they scratch your neck. She confronted him about all of it, told him that she doesn't believe a word he ever says and that she loves him and wishes he'd stop making terrible decisions. By the end of the conversation, he basically admitted to all of the lies and he was finally fired. And thus is the tale of Scooby, the wandering liar. Wow, it's a miracle people like this can actually function this far in life. I mean, he's going to have to be lying his way into jobs for the rest of his life. You just feel bad for whoever has to deal with him next. Am I wrong for being blindsided by a friend's birthday dinner costing me $1,100? Birthday dinner for a friend costs $540 per person. My wife and I were invited to a major city to celebrate a friend's 40th. There were 2 days in the schedule, but we could only attend one because of my work schedule. We went to a fancy dinner and expected it to be over the top and expensive because it's their 40th birthday and they have high-paying jobs and like to splurge. We met everyone at dinner at a fancy restaurant and found out it was family-style 6-course meal. When the check came, our friend's wife put it all in her card and we assumed the bill would be split up afterwards. We knew it would be expensive, but we were okay with it. We went out for drinks after, slept at our hotel, and drove back the next day. Today, our friend's wife messages us that the total, minus tax and gratuity, split between the 13 of us was $540 per person. We figured on the high end we'd spend maybe half that for both of us. We really thought more like $300 total for both of us based on the quality of the food. I'm pretty offended that it wasn't communicated ahead of time that this meal was going to be a frickin' mortgage payment. What do I do here? Holy moly, $540 per person? What sort of restaurant is this? I just took my partner out for our anniversary dinner at the fanciest place I could find, and it only came up to $200 all up, lobster tail and everything. Yeah, I think I'd be asking to look at a receipt in this situation. Let's go to the comments. I would need proof before I paid $1,100 for dinner. Was someone ordering $500 bottles of wine that only they drank? I would be asking to see the itemized total, and I would split the family-style food costs and pay for your specific beverages, but I would not pay a share of high-end alcohol that only some of the guests drank. Not wrong, not the a-hole. I don't know if things are usually different in the upper echelons of society, but to us peasants and plebs, planning for expensive things means communicating accurate and prompt expected costs beforehand. I think what everyone is also ignoring is the fact that $540 per person is after the bill was split 13 ways. It was a $7,000 meal. I've been to places like this where you book it and must spend X amount, but I always 1. Have as many people as possible, and B. Make sure everyone knows the per person rate before they commit to come. Yeah, I guess I must be a pleb because I've never been to a restaurant like this. Have you? Anyway, Opie gives some edits. Edit 1. We expected to spend a lot of money going out with these friends. We've gone out several times where an evening costs us $250 to $300 per couple, but never anything like $1,100 just for dinner. Edit 2. Thanks everyone for the comments. This got a much bigger response than I thought it would. I want to respond to some common comments here. We truly did not expect the host to pay for dinner. Based on previous events and dinners with this group, we expected to pay for our own meals and drinks. When the bill came, the host, birthday boy's wife, grabbed the bill and paid it with her card. We were surprised that it looked like she was paying, but now, a couple days later, she is sending out bills to the couples for their portion of an even split of the dinner. It was not discussed that there will be only one check for the group. Some of our other friends who came with us and were in on all the same communications leading up to this dinner were also completely surprised by the total amount of the meal. If it matters, they are very well off and still got sticker shock. This is validating for me because they've been with us in this group for many dinners with this couple and also did not expect this outcome. They got a bill for both nights that totaled just shy of $2,000 for food and drinks on tabs that were paid, at the time, by the host couple. For those saying we should have asked ahead of time, I guess this is where I get hung up. We were anticipating a range based on many meals with this group, including birthday dinners. Why would we reach out to the host and ask, "This isn't going to cost us more than $1,000, is it?" when every past experience was substantially lower, 60 to 70% less? We haven't asked for an itemized receipt yet, but looked up the cost of the family-style dinner per person. Based on what we ate or drank, our total would come to right about $700. To be honest, I would have been surprised by that amount, but we're being asked to pay $400 more than that, and I think, as many have pointed out, we are getting charged for others' wine choices. We will either just send that amount or ask for an itemized receipt, as many have recommended. I believe our next course is, as many have recommended, to pay for what we had and distance ourselves from these people, or just never accept another invitation. Edit 3. My wife contacted the restaurant and it turns out that there is a minimum per person charge that works out to $530 after tax and gratuity for reservations the size of our group. This is $200 per person more than what we consumed, and the host never told us about it, even when contacting us for payment. The host would have been aware prior to inviting us, because she would have had to agree to it for the size of the group. The restaurant doesn't do reservations for that size party and has to make a special arrangement. Jesus, $500 minimum per person is insane. Like, I understand a set price for a fixed dinner, but I don't think any dinner I have is going to be worth $500, regardless of how much I drink or eat. And yeah, for the host to not tell anyone about it is super selfish. Like, they obviously had this idea of a grand and extravagant dinner, and knew if they gave details about this certain arrangement, people would inevitably back out. Okay, onto an update. First off, if you're interested in the full story, please check the original post. Me, my wife and I wish we had done more research, of course, but we didn't, because we've gone to plenty of expensive, to us, meals with this couple for anywhere from $100 to $300, with $300 being the absolute most we'd ever spent, and have an expectation that our friends would communicate if something was going to be substantially different than what we're used to. Our mistake. The majority of comments mirrored our feelings that this minimum, or even the average ticket price at the restaurant, should have been communicated by the host ahead of time, and that this lack of communication is bizarre and pretty tacky. There were lots of comments saying that we should have looked up the menu, etc., and obviously in hindsight we wish we had, but the reality is that even if we had looked at the menu, this was, unbeknownst to us, a special event, and our host had selected a prefixed menu with a table minimum that they did not communicate to us or anyone else. Other guests in our group were just as surprised by the final amount. Many other commenters said not to pay them at all, which I could not seriously consider. Even though I'm upset by the situation, I totally intended to pay our own way, just not to be stuck paying for other people's expensive tastes. Which is why we ended up texting the host that we were very surprised by the total price and asked to see a copy of the receipt. To her credit, she sent it right away. It confirmed the minimum price for the table and that others in the group had ordered very expensive wine and drinks that brought the overall bill up to and above the minimum. We added up our total, which hilariously comes to $666, so that's what we're sending them, approximately $430 less than what they initially requested. Not sure where this leaves the friendship, but we won't be accepting dinner invites anytime soon. My wife and I had a blast reading your responses and appreciate all of your perspectives. We'll be cooking dinner at home for a while. There you go. Yeah, lesson learned for OP, I think. How about you guys? Do you have any similar stories? Let me know in the comments. I enjoy reading them. Anyway, on to another one. Okay, this next one was posted by user LR Hun, and it's titled, Bridezilla ruins her own wedding, demands bridal party pay her cancelled wedding. Starting the year strong, I swear. So, my friend Dana, female 29, was supposed to be getting married this past Sunday. The wedding got cancelled and things have gotten very crazy. Dana was getting married to Josh, 32. She's still in college with me and asked a few friends from college, myself included, to be her bridal party. Now, from the start, this wedding has been a disaster. I'm going to just point out a few of the crazy stuff we've dealt with. 1. She refused to invite my best friend, who she's supposedly good friends with, because she thinks we're lesbian lovers. We're not. 2. She had us go to the dress fitting and then demand each of us pay $2,000 each for our dresses. Apparently she had a specific style she wanted. I can afford it, but I won't buy a $2,000 dress for one event. Some of the girls in the bridal party don't have the flexibility with money. 3. Apparently Josh couldn't invite any single females that were not blood relatives of him, so if he had any female friends, they were axed. 4. One of the girls in the bridal party doesn't drink because of her religion. Dana accused her of being pregnant in front of her parents and almost got her kicked out of her house. She was not pregnant and she dropped from the bridal party. She was a class act though, and never bad talked Dana, just said she couldn't make it. We found out about it pretty much on the day of the wedding. And 5, she tried to make us cancel our holidays with our families to instead go with her to a destination bachelorette party. I work full time, even during holidays, so I told her that was not happening. More of the bridesmaids said similar things, and she dropped it. That's just 5 things of countless drama this wedding was having before the day. Now the meat of the story comes on the wedding day. The day started horrible. Dana was having a meltdown because apparently the flower girl had to cancel because she has chicken pox. She was threatening to sue the mother unless she brought this sick 3-year-old to the wedding. Josh apparently was able to calm her down from this starter outburst, and we began preparations. The whole day she had constant outbursts. She made people cry, like wedding staff and bridesmaids. The maid of honour deserves a medal for the amount of diplomacy and bullcrap control she had to do. I, for the most part, took the easy route and decided to work outside the bridal suite, like checking flowers, making sure food was okay. Basically any excuse not to be around the bride. Eventually I had my makeup and hair done, Then the bride asked for a little bit of time alone to decompress from the stress. We didn't even fight it. You could not see a group of women run faster away. The wedding was starting in 30 minutes, so we figured she would be fine alone for that little time. I spent those 30 minutes just sitting in the chapel with my phone. It had to be about 5 minutes before the start of the wedding when the maid of honour came over to tell me the wedding was cancelled. I asked her what happened. Maid of honour said, Dana was having a quickie with Josh's uncle in the room, and Josh caught them. I just stared at the maid of honour with my mouth pretty much about to reach the floor. She told me to run and that she was trying to get as many people out before things exploded. So I quickly got my purse, gathered the 2 bridesmaids that were carpooling with me, and we left like the devil was after us. I checked with the other bridesmaid, and all had escaped. That night I called the maid of honour to check what happened, and the tea was bad. Apparently, and rightfully, Josh called off the wedding, called her a few names, told off his uncle, and has since left with his mates to, I hope, have the biggest single man party ever. I feel so bad for him. He's an absolute gem of a man. He apparently also told Dana and her parents that she will be paying the cancellation fees. According to maid of honour, Dana's father told her in front of everyone that she was paying it on her own for being a hoe. I thought that was the end of it. I made the choice to separate myself from this mess until I got a call from Dana, not even an hour ago, demanding $5,000 to help pay her cancellation fees. According to Dana, it was our duty as the bridal party to pay her cancellation fees. I obviously told her no, and that she might as well lose my number. I'm never speaking to this woman again. This has been pretty much the reaction of all the bridesmaids and the maid of honour. By the way, maid of honour, Josh's older sister. Oh my god, I just feel like I read an absurd comedy or something. I mean, yeah, you gotta feel for Josh, but honestly, sounds like he's dodged a bullet with this woman. Let's go to some comments. Hold up, back up. Girl, this is a whole high tea serving right here. I've heard sex is good to unstress, but this is a whole other level. Also, props for Josh's sister. Woman is worth her weight in gold. Well, that was a ride. You do right in telling her to leave you alone. Actions have consequences. Ooh boy, way to start the year with a bang, if you'll pardon the pun. What an absolute crap show. Poor Josh. His sister deserves a medal for getting you all out though. Highly recommend inviting her and the other bridesmaids for drinks in a few weeks. If you happen to find out any more fallout from the disaster, then that's just a bonus. Edit to add or dinner, so the non-drinking, should-have-been bridesmaid doesn't feel left out. Opie adds some more comments of her own. Some tea. I mean, the sad part, she had her makeup and hair done, and we left her dressed and ready. So yeah, she was wearing her wedding dress for this. Should have stayed to get more info. Well, as much as I like tea, I know when it's best to retreat and get it from a witness. Pretty sure if I stayed, Dana would have dragged us into something. Was Dana always like this? Oh, we're sure there's no moral compass in there. She used to be incredibly nice way back before her engagement, and since becoming the first bride of the group, she became insufferable. We were all on our last thread. How long was she having a thing with the uncle? How long with the uncle? No idea. I found during the wedding and didn't have any info on it since. Poor Josh, I hope he finds someone. Not gonna lie, pretty sure half the bridal party would offer themselves as tribute. He's a good-looking guy. I don't know him that well, but we've had drinks a few times. He'll find a girl when he's ready in a snap. What happened to the $2,000 dresses, and what were they? Well, nobody bought the dresses. Some of the girls can't afford it. She had a full meltdown in the chat until the maid of honour got involved and offered to buy cheaper dresses for the bridesmaids. Ellie Saab, dress was beautiful, don't take me wrong, but I wouldn't buy it for a wedding. How did that one bridesmaid's parents think she was pregnant when she doesn't drink for her culture? Well, my understanding, bear in mind, I'm sharing as I was told, is that Dana and this bridesmaid are really old friends, so the bridesmaid's parents have a level of trust with Dana. Apparently bridesmaid had been feeling sick a few days prior, and I remember she had to cancel something. Then we went to prepare the bachelorette party, and there was going to be an extra charge for mocktails which she offered to pay. Dana found out somehow and spoke first to her parents, telling them that bridesmaid was acting like she was pregnant, not mentioning it the whole issue was because bridesmaid refused to make an exception for the bachelorette party about drinking. Obviously still kinda bad on the parents, but I can see where they're coming from. Bridesmaid is not pregnant, for the record. She was actually just sick. Also, in case someone asks, Bridesmaid no longer lives with her parents and hasn't for a few years. Bridesmaid was then contacted by her parents and told to never come back to their home for being a tramp. That got pregnant outside of marriage. I know she lives in dorms, so I imagine she goes back during vacations. It's still the family home and she keeps a room there. One comment says this is fake because there are no cancellation fees the day of the wedding. Oh, pardon me for not knowing how wedding planning works when I've never worked or cared for planning a wedding, because, it must be common knowledge for everyone everywhere. I translated what I was told. What I was told by the bride is, and then Opie writes some Spanish, which I do not speak. Feel free to translate. Okay, let's go to an update and see what happened. Hey guys, I know a lot of people want to know what happened. After talking to Josh yesterday, he asked me to only say that he's okay, figuring things out, and moving on. We're going to stay friends with him and his sister. Dana was told that no one in the group wants to interact with her, and since then it's been mostly radio silence. I can't share more about Josh's future plans, as he asked me not to. He did have a good laugh at some of the comments I showed him and appreciates the support. The one detail I did get corrected on, for those curious, was about his uncle. He's the younger brother of Josh's mother, and he's 55 years old. I thought he was married into the family, but I got that detail wrong. I also found out the most disgusting detail is the uncle knew Dana since she was a teenager. Dana and Josh are high school sweethearts, so yeah, I kind of feel gross knowing that. Other than that, I got a major haul of cake, so at least I got something good out of this mess. And a little more info. A few things I've been asked not to share, but I can share that Josh is okay and working to get things in order. He came over too and seemed down, but we got him to laugh a bit, so there's some good news. No news on Dana. I actually requested to change some of my classes with her, or drop if I couldn't find alternative schedules. Not in any hurry since I'm only a student part-time. 29 and still in college? First time for Dana, second time for me. A few of the other girls in my friend group are also returning or starting later in life due to college cost. And what happened to the uncle and his family? Well, from what I can share, I was asked to keep a lot of details private by Josh himself. His wife, the uncle's wife, is planning a divorce. That's really all he wants me to say. Wow, what an absolute roller coaster. Let's read a few more comments to wrap this one up. I really liked how every bridesmaid ran and alerted others like it was a zombie attack. The Spanish version of the message makes absolute sense. She doesn't say that she had to pay a cancellation fee. She says that the son of a gun cancelled the wedding and now the bride has to pay for the wedding. She probably has to pay for the resulting bill since the groom cancelled and he wouldn't pay for it. I remember this post. Effing another dude, the groom's uncle no less, on your wedding day, at the goddamn venue. A whole new level of cheating. I knew when Josh couldn't invite single female friends where this was going to end up, always with the projection. Yeah, that's a good point actually. I didn't think of that when I read it first. But yeah, that's crazy to sleep with the groom's uncle like just before the actual wedding starts in your own wedding dress and say you're decompressing from stress as an excuse is a whole other level of crazy. But yeah, I'd love to hear your thoughts about this one. Maybe you got a similar story you'd like to share. Part of me hopes not. Am I the a-hole for cutting off my friends after they made fun of my boyfriend because they slept with me? So, I had 3 guy friends. They're not my only friends, but we were pretty close, and I've had sex with all of them, including some group sex. This stopped some years ago. In fact, 2 of them are in long-term relationships with 2 of my best friends, and they're aware of our history. Now, my boyfriend and I have been together for about a year, and it's been the best relationship I've had. The thing is, my boyfriend is a bit insecure because I'm his first. He's also aware of my history with my friends. I've assured him that this is in the past, and I have no sexual attraction to them at all now, and that he's all I need. I actually asked my friends to never talk about this ever. However, the other night we were all hanging out, and I headed out with a friend to get some stuff. When we get back, my boyfriend's mood is much different. He plays it off, but I can tell something was bothering him. When we get back to my place, I press the issue, and he says my guy friends kept making Eskimo brother jokes, and how he got the leftovers, and told them about how good he must be if he can satisfy me the same way all of them couldn't. I was furious and confronted my friends. They kept saying they were trying to man up my boyfriend since I told them he felt insecure about them. My boyfriend kept trying to save face, saying things that the past is the past, but I can tell he's feeling down. I decided to cut off my friends because not only did they disrespect my boyfriend, but also me by calling me leftovers. My two best friends keep saying that it's not a big deal and that me and my boyfriend are overreacting. Also, how can I make this up to my boyfriend? I tried to show him how much I want him by initiating sex, but he hasn't been in the mood. Yeah, obviously the friends overstepped, but the fact that Opie told them that he was insecure about that probably shouldn't have been a thing. Let's go to the comments. Not the a-hole for cutting off the 3 guy friends. If your other 2 friends continued to make you feel in the wrong, I'd cut ties with them too. You're the a-hole for telling any of them your boyfriend was insecure about your past. You broke his trust, and it's going to take more than initiating sex to gain that back. Opie replies, I was trying to help. I've heard stories about a girl's past being exposed because their friends let it slip. I didn't want that to happen. I really thought my guy friends would understand. Those are not great friends. I think you're correct in cutting them off. They show a distinct lack of empathy and emotional intelligence. Apologize to your boyfriend for sharing his insecurities. Unless he specifically said that it was okay, those were likely told to you in confidence, and you broke that confidence. You're going to have to earn back his trust. I don't know the best way to do that, but it sounds like the 2 of you need to have a conversation. Opie replies, he never said that it was okay. Looking back, I realize I really effed up. He says he's fine, but he doesn't even want to touch me right now. If your boyfriend dumps you, and he might, you need to realize 2 things. He's young and experienced, and this was traumatic for him. It's not him being insecure, it's you trusting crappy people that hurt him. Second, if he leaves, that's not a green light to go back to business as usual with this friend group. They crap on your trust and behaved like cruel children. That's stuff you don't look past. As for your best friends, they need to understand exactly what sort of sleazebags they're dating, and if they can't appreciate your anger, and let them know that when they become quote-unquote leftovers, maybe they'll understand. Opie says, I will never touch them again, even if my boyfriend breaks up with me. Okay, on to a first update. Hello everyone. It's been a long couple of days, and my boyfriend has finally opened up. He said he's glad I cut off my friends, and that he wasn't going to ask me to do it, but if I hadn't, he would have left. He said he doesn't want to break up over this, as it wasn't something wrong I did. He gets that most people have a past, and that I didn't even know him back then. He said it just became too real when my ex-friends opened their mouths. He's also mad at me because I told them his insecurities, something that I know was a horrible mistake. I apologized profusely and promised it was never going to happen again. He also says he feels inadequate and inferior. He said, how the hell am I supposed to compare? I'm just one guy. I assured him that he's way better than them, and that he's all I want from now on. We kept talking for a while. Eventually we hugged it out. He says he doesn't feel ready to have sex again, and asked me to respect that, which I agreed to. He also says he doesn't want to hang out with any other former partner. He says he won't freak out or anything if we run into one at like a party or something, but he won't hang out with them, which is more than fair after what happened. One of my best friends reached out and apologized for what she said. She thought my former friends just mentioned our story, and my boyfriend got all insecure, but didn't realize just how horrible they were. She said she broke up with him already. I haven't heard from the other friend. As for me, I feel absolutely disgusting knowing I let those guys touch me, and I know I effed up when I told them about my boyfriend's insecurity. Still, that doesn't excuse just how horrible some of your comments were. I take full responsibility for disclosing my boyfriend's insecurities, but most of you just wanted to shame me for having sex in the first place. I didn't hurt anyone just for having group sex, but I did F up by calling the wrong people my friends. To those of you who are more understanding, but still rightfully called me out for my carelessness with my boyfriend's feelings, thank you. Now for a final update. Hello everyone. It's been a few weeks since the whole incident happened. While a lot of you were horrible in the comments, I appreciate the few of you who were more supportive. My boyfriend and I seem to be back on track now. He's back to his old self and he's been very loving and sweet. I've been as affectionate as possible without being sexual. I've been making him meals, got him a couple of gifts, and complimented him. We had a deep talk about boundaries and we talked about what happened. He forgave me for talking about his insecurities to my friends, and I promised him that I won't ever do anything like that again. We also talked about his insecurities. By the way, he's fully aware of my previous posts and says it's fine because no one knows who we are. Well, after I assured him he's the best I've had, which is true, and that I don't want anyone else but him, well, he got his confidence back, and he wasn't shy to show me. So things are good now with us. I've learned my mistake. As for my former friends, I've blocked them on everything, and I have no desire to ever see them again. I think this is going to be my last update, and while I don't expect my relationship to never have problems again, I think we've moved on from this now. Okie dokie, and that's the end of that one. Yeah, all resolved pretty much in the end there. Sounds like he got his mojo back, and Opie was right to cut out her friends. What are your thoughts about this one? Let me know in the comments. Okay, let's go to another story. Okay, well, on relationships, this one was written by user Gemma Gemma, and it's titled, I, 19 female, am being excluded from our gaming group. I decide to find a new group. Boyfriend, 20 male, is the one upset. I'm in a gaming group that has about 10 members, 18 to 25 female and male, including my boyfriend and I. A month ago, I had a fallout with a member in the group, who I'll call Roger, 25 male. Basically, I don't like Roger. All he ever does is degrade and talk about women who are backstabbing bees who you can never trust, and how he loves to smoke weed and do drugs. Hearing those things constantly became a drag, so I decided that I did not want to be around him anymore. Ever since I cut off contact, I've been excluded from games whenever Roger plays, because he does not want me there. Even my boyfriend told me not to join because it'll piss off Roger. Obviously, I don't want to play with Roger either, so this is fine with me. The thing is, when Roger is playing, I'm excluded from the group as I can't play with anyone else, because they're all playing with Roger. This happens 3 to 4 days every week, and they play for 5 to 6 hours a day. I'm really shy, so I don't talk much in the group games besides doing the usual call-outs. I know everyone would much rather play with Roger than me, since he's more outgoing and fun to them, so I don't interfere. Even so, I still feel like crap for being left out constantly. My boyfriend didn't even defend me the first time I was excluded. He just told me to not join ever again, and left it at that. Only one other person in the group is defending me, and that's my best friend, 19 male, since middle school. When I first told him about the situation, he got really angry and asked me if I wanted him to stop playing with Roger too. I know my boyfriend and best friend love playing with Roger though, so I didn't ask them to stop. Last night, Roger and the group were all playing again. I decided to look for some other groups online to play with because being alone sucks. While on a break from his game, my boyfriend asked what I was doing. I told him casually that I was looking for a new gaming group to play with. His reaction was not what I was expecting. He got upset and kept questioning me why I wanted to leave our old gaming group. I told him since I'm being excluded from our old group so often, I may as well find a new group to play with because I obviously don't fit in anymore. Even after my answers, he would keep asking me why I couldn't just stay and participate in the group often. How am I supposed to participate in a group when I'm being excluded from it weekly? At that point, I told my boyfriend to stop talking to me about this subject and to leave it. He then said to me that I was overreacting to being excluded from the group, and then went on a rant about why I couldn't just be happy for once since he still plays with me daily. My boyfriend and I do play daily, but we play alone with just the two of us since no one else in the group can play at the times we're online. Being excluded from playing with everyone else is what makes me feel like crap, not being excluded from playing with my boyfriend. I told him that if I find a new group, I would always play with him first, no matter what. However, I just want to find a new group to play with when he and everyone else are playing with Roger, since I can't join in the first place, and playing alone sucks. He said fine, in an annoyed tone, and we left it at that. We haven't spoken about it since, but I can tell he's upset over it. Am I really overreacting to this situation? Do I just ignore my boyfriend for now? Do I say something? This is the first time I've ever seen him so upset over something I did. I'm not sure what to do. No, honestly, I would probably do the same thing if I was being excluded all the time. Wouldn't you? Let's go to the comments. You looking for a new group makes your issue with Roger look final, rather than something you'll get over, basically. Game groups and friend groups are often related, and your boyfriend is probably reacting like you're looking for a new friend group. He'd probably rather you forgive Roger and put things back to normal. He's being absurd. You deserve to play as often as you like, with people you like. I've had some bad groups because I didn't have options, but these days there are a lot of options to help find people a group that suits them. Nobody should ever have to play a game, a thing you're purposefully doing for fun, with a jerk. Look for the new group, point out your boyfriend's absurdity towards this clearly, and worry not. If you want any of those people from the former group to be your friend, then spend time with them away from the group. If not, you don't need to worry at all. Either way, go out and have fun. Opie replies, "Thank you for the advice. I'll be sure to tell my boyfriend that. To be fair, I'm also looking for a new friend group because most of the folks in our old group are my boyfriend's friends, so they're really close with Roger too. I'm not close to any of them, so I plan to drop them when I find a new group to hang out with. The only other person who is not friends with my boyfriend first is my best friend, hence why he was the only one who voiced how horrible it was that I was excluded from the group. If they exclude you from a game, they shouldn't expect you to sit around and wait for them. The fact that your boyfriend is letting his friends group exclude you and also complaining about you finding another group shows major red flags. This is not normal behaviour. If your friends really care, they'll make time where Roger is excluded and you can play with them. They haven't bothered to do that. You have to ask yourself if you really want to spend time with these types of people. If I were you, I would find a new group. If your boyfriend prioritises his friends over you, that is also something you really need to think about." Opie replies, "Thank you for the advice. After I find a new group to play with, I will definitely drop the old group for sure. I know my boyfriend does prioritise his time with me since he still makes time to play with me daily, but he also wants to play with everyone else too. I don't want to stop him from hanging out with our old friends since everyone else in the group is nice and friendly besides Roger, which is why I'm finding a new group to play with." So I'm guilty of doing a light skim read here, but here's my initial reactions. 1. Your boyfriend should tell Roger that he can sit out if you're on first. 2. You should tell your boyfriend you're not to be expected to just sit around by yourself if you're wanting to be a part of the group. If you can't understand this, ask him how he would feel if he was constantly excluded. 3. Are you on Xbox or PS4? I'm antisocial 90% of the time, but you're always free to add me. Opie replies, "I would like to tell him that, but he's known Roger longer than he's known me, and they're practically best friends. I feel bad for asking him to do that, and at the same time, I know he won't even do it even if I asked. Even though he knows Roger is excluding me, and he tells me he does feel bad about it, he doesn't like to confront others about sticky situations, so he won't ever do it. I did tell him that too. He said he understood, but once again, still kept questioning me and asking me why I couldn't stay. Unfortunately, I'm not. I play on PC, and recently I got a Switch, so we've been playing some games on there too. Thank you for the offer though." God, I mean honestly, it sounds like Opie's making excuses for the boyfriend here. What do you mean he doesn't like to get in sticky situations? This is regarding his own girlfriend, like he's got to stand up for her, best friend or not. Let's go to the update. Thank you everyone for all the advice, and thank you to those that also offered to play with me. I wasn't expecting my post to get so many replies. Unfortunately, I had some unrelated family business, so I couldn't respond to you all. However, I read everything and have taken all your words into consideration. Some people have also asked me questions about how we can play so often, how long I've been with my boyfriend, etc., so I'll just give a brief background. First off, most of us are college students, 18 or 20, either working part-time or staying at home with their parents. As of right now, most of us are on summer break. We only have 2 older members in the group, which are Roger, 25, and another guy, 23. The rest of us are or fall under 20. Roger is actually married and his wife makes good bank, so he has a ton of free time. Second, about my boyfriend. Surprisingly, we met through the gaming group, as he was the one who advertised it, which was how I found the group and joined it. That was about 2 years ago, and about a couple of months after we met, we just clicked and started dating. My boyfriend has known Roger for about 3 years, so they're close friends. However, Roger did not join the group until 6 months ago, as my boyfriend invited him because he thought it'd be fun to have him there too. I did not know much of Roger, other than that he was my boyfriend's friend, until he joined the group. So, after I posted my original post, I signed up for 2 different groups. The first one was an all-women's group, 16 to 20. They responded to me pretty quickly, They were very nice and polite, but explained that they only play once or twice a week. Unfortunately, that didn't cut it for me. The second group responded to me the next day, and I learned that they were more active, but they were also an all-men's group, 17 to 19. However, they were open to having me there. At first, I felt pretty sketched, but the oldest and most popular guy, 19, there, took me aside and explained to me that he does not tolerate any type of harassment and that he would definitely kick out any of the other guys if they were bothering me. Hearing that made me feel more comfortable, and I played some games with them. I had so much fun. All the guys were really nice and friendly. No sexual remarks, no more screaming of profanity against women, etc. It was nice being in a group of people who were happy to play with me. After I finished my games and left, my boyfriend called and asked if we could talk. When he came over, before I could even ask or speak myself, he told me he was really sorry and that he screwed up big time, and that he understands how wrong he was. He said he didn't want me to go to a new group because he feared that I would leave him too for some new guy. Then he told me that he didn't realize how hurt I was from being excluded from the group because I'd never complained or voiced against it, which is true. I never complained about the exclusions or even Roger's behavior before because I knew it would just cause more conflict. I also didn't want my boyfriend to stop playing with his friends because of me. I explained this to him, and he said he was sorry for not defending and comforting me like he should have been in the first place. To my surprise, he then showed me his text messages between him and Roger that happened a few months ago. Apparently, way before my exclusion, Roger had a few conversations with my boyfriend, telling him how much of a pain it was to play with me there. He wanted my boyfriend to kick me out. However, my boyfriend refused and told Roger that was not happening. Then, around the time when I decided to stop hanging out with Roger, that's when Roger sent a group text to everyone in the group explaining how he doesn't want me to play with the group again, and he hopes everyone understands. Everyone, and to my shock, even my best friend, all agreed with him. Only my boyfriend protested, but Roger was really stubborn and he had the whole group to support him, so my boyfriend gave up. After showing me those texts, he told me next that he kicked Roger from their group earlier today. Roger was not allowed to play with them anymore, but my boyfriend said he'd still be willing to play with Roger one-on-one, but only like once a month. Surprisingly, Roger agreed, and that was that. My boyfriend said he understood if I didn't want to be with him anymore, but said that he truly does love me. Honestly, even after all that has happened, I'm not mad at my boyfriend. This is both of our first relationships. We're still learning. He's always been kind to me, and I've never had a problem with him before this situation occurred. I feel happy that he realized his mistakes and did apologize without me asking. This is the first time he's ever come across a situation where he has no choice but to choose a side, so I don't blame him for trying to do anything to keep the group together. He told me he would also like me to come back to our old group, but he said it's completely fine if I stay with my new group. He knows it was wrong of him to ask me not to join a new group. I told him I don't think I'll ever come back to the old group, and that I'll definitely be sticking with my new group from now on. However, I'll always make time for him and put him first. He accepted it without any protest, and we went back to our usual fun activities. I feel bad that my boyfriend may have lost a close friend, since I never asked him to do any of that for me. Regardless, I am happy, and lately my boyfriend and I have been spending more time together now that Roger isn't around as much. I've also continued playing with my new group, and it's been awesome. If you made it this far, thanks for reading this long update. Sorry for the ramble and mistakes, my mind is all over the place right now, and I wanted to explain as much as I could. Thank you guys once again. Okay guys, and that's the end of that story. Yeah, great ending there, and a good compromise to come to. What are your thoughts about that one? Let me know in the comments. Anyway, that's it from me today. Hope you guys enjoyed those stories, thanks for making it to the end, and I'll see you all in the next video. Have a good day. Cheers.